The road to the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series at a shot at a NASCAR championship along with $10,000 in cash and prizes rolls through the penultimate round, round 8 of the 2015-2016 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series live from Richmond. Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the Richmond 200. 1 week to go when the checkered flag flies tonight. So we're excited that this championship begins to near its finale. Also kind of sad because that means Tuesday night's going to become open here in a while. It's been a fun 7 weeks. We've got 2 more still to go, and things are tight, not only for the championship, but as well for the cutoff line. There's a lot of exciting and important action to do tonight and as well next Tuesday. We're happy to have you along for the ride with us, alongside with Justin Rose, now Andy Kessler, and our driver analyst, Brian Backlund. My name is Evan Pasocco. Cisco Scaramouza going to be down pit side with us throughout the evening, and as well LSRTV's executive producer Laura Lawson, and behind the scenes as always in a big chair bringing us to you. And we're ready for round 8 of 9, Andy. It is a short track and it is under the lights, which means that we're going to kind of preview the race here for about 10 minutes, talk some stuff, but because it is a short track under the lights, it's all speculation because this race in these past 3 or 4 seasons have been unpredictable. The last 2 years averaging 12 cautions. Before that, green all the way. So we really never know what's going to happen when we come to Richmond.
No, you don't. And that's why it's kind of an interesting way that iRacing finished the season off as far as the schedule. You kind of have like a wild card race as Richmond here this evening, and then, of course, next week at the Super Speedway. So it's kind of an interesting thing to deal with for these drivers. They've had a whole bunch of mile-and-a-half cookie-cutter tracks here throughout the season. We've seen guys very fast take advantage of those tracks, get lots of points, but now you got a couple wild cards left in the mix, and it'll be interesting to see how this thing shakes out.
And the regular races, I know you mentioned cookie cutters there, they're done for the rest of the season because this is a short track, it's boring, and then the season finale, as we saw for the first time last season, is at Daytona next week. That is going to be unpredictable tonight as well. Before we look forward to and preview round 8, let's look back at last week if you weren't with us. First race on the 2016 calendar for round 7 from the Kentucky Speedway. Dylan Rafferty went on to take the checkered flag in that one after leading 30 laps. Second place for Josh Berry. We'll talk about the driver of that 80 in a minute because Berry now at the top of the championship standings as your drops have now been factored in. Brad Davies led the most laps, Andy, to a third place finish. Timmy Hill came home 4th. Logan Clampett rounded out our top 5.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race last week there at Kentucky. It was interesting. A lot of guys were saying that it was going to be, treacherous off the corners, very slick, but ultimately we saw a pretty good race there, and 6 different leaders over 10 times. They changed his position, and it was just I thought it was a great race. Some comers, some goers. Pitch strategy came into effect there. Some guys got caught a lap down at one point, and so it definitely shook things up. But Dylan Rafferty, that was a pretty cool pro win for him.
And with the second place finish for Josh Berry, it has been the tale of the talk, really, has been Alan Bowes all season long with a third, a first, back-to-back first place finishes, taking to win to California and as well at Watkins Glen. 2 bad weeks, though, has actually knocked him out of the top spot because, again, through these 9 races, there is 1 drop, but the drop is only factored into the opening 7 races. So now that the opening 7 races have been completed, the drops have been factored in, so the 6 best finishes so far have been counted towards these drivers' total points, and their worst finishes not factored in. So Josh Berry, all of a sudden, is in the championship lead to Alan Bowes just behind in second, who's about 12 or 13 points behind Brian. That's interesting because you talk about momentum. 2 bad weeks for Alan Bowes. He's down at the bottom. Now, we can't really say that that's bad news for these guys because, again, the ultimate goal in this Pro Series is to make it to the Peak Antifreeze Series, which is now just a couple of months away from getting underway once we wrap up next week. Those guys that we're talking about towards the top, the Raffertys, the Duvals, the Timmy Hills through the top 5 by the points right now, there's no question that they're going to be racing in that 2016 NPAS Series. Guys down towards 19th, 20th, and below the cut line, these races are very important for, but you do want to win the championship, and Josh Berry kind of flew under the radar.
Yeah, he certainly did. If all season long, it looked like Alan Bowes was the clear-cut favorite to win the championship. He dominated the first part of the season, finishing in the top 3 or winning in pretty much every single race that he ran. And then he struggled here in the last couple of weeks, having a bad finish at Atlanta and not having the race that he was looking for last week at Kentucky as well. And it really just makes a difference there as far as the championship is concerned, because like you said, Josh Berry, he had a solid season, but he didn't have a stellar season. He just had a quiet but steady season and was able to get where he needed to be, and now he's in a position where he's got the advantage and is going to look like he's going to take the championship home. As far as those guys down at the bottom, I'm looking down there and I see Timu Ivonen, Trey Edson, Nick Johnston, Brad Davies, and Ryan Borges. They're on the edge of being out of this right now. They're 16th through 20th in points, and they're the guys that have to really sweat it here these next 2 weeks. Richmond and Daytona both are going to be wild card races. No doubt Daytona is going to be a little bit more dangerous and treacherous than tonight here at Richmond, but they have to be careful and they have to get a good finish in both those races. Otherwise, they might see themselves watching the Peak Antifreeze Series instead of racing in it.
Yeah, the difference at that cut line is Brian Borges in 20th in and 3 points behind Ryan Lowe out. Dylan Jones, Mitchell Hunt, Gray McKinney, Andrew Fayash III, Tyler Laughlin, some of the names just below that cut line. They've got 2 weeks to get the job done, which brings us to tonight's race at the Richmond International Raceway, a 3/4 mile track with 14 degrees of banking. That's not a whole lot for a short track, but things here are known to get physical, and as we have seen all season long, based on the new dynamic weather and track settings on the sim, the weather can be a big factor in how this race plays out. But the drivers are expected somewhat similar, Andy, to what we saw last year, and that is turn 2 is a troublesome spot. That really was Calamity Corner last year. But this is a very unique track to drive because you have to be careful to not overdrive the entry. So you tell somebody to back it off and take it easy going into a turn at a short track, the guy behind him thinks that, okay, I can outbrake him into the corner. That's where we see a lot of the calamity, no pun intended, exactly come from, because it is that way. Some guys looking at an outside line, but I don't think really they know if that's going to be a factor or not. But I think what we're going to see when the green flag drops tonight is everybody try to get down to the bottom. It's a lot of cars and not a lot of space trying to pack down in there when we drop it.
Yeah, the bottom's definitely the place you want to be in turns 1 and 2. We've seen guys in the past, though, kind of move up as the race goes along in 3 and 4. 3 and 4 is such a different corner. It's more of a sweeping corner, pretty wide, but turns 1 and 2, if you're not on that bottom side in 1 and 2, it's very tough, and that turn 2 wall really creeps up on you, especially when you're too wide coming off of it. So, yeah, we'll have to definitely keep an eye on some guys. Really, the dive bomb really comes into effect more in turn 1 than it does in turn 3. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that and see who can outbreak the other guy.
And track position is always key in a race like that. And for that, we'll throw things down now pit side with Cisco Scarmoza. Cisco, these guys are looking at 200 laps start to finish tonight. They could win this race and or lose it on track, no doubt, but we have seen a couple of times this year guys win races or throw them away from mistakes pit side.
Yeah, and you have to be careful in how to enter pit road. This is one of those goofy pit roads where we're used to seeing, maybe on like a 1.5 mile track or on a super speedway, you have a flat, dead straight pit road. But a place like Richmond, no, that thing turns. So you have to be careful, especially if you have a pit stall on one of the turns. You got to make sure you're in your box, not too far left or not too far to the right. So it's one of those small things, but if you mess it up, it could really cost you.
Cody Bias, Josh Berry, some of the names that are being tossed around as the favorites coming into tonight's race. Brian, what kind of a driver, though, is going to win this race? Somebody that's going to be patient or somebody that's going to be aggressive based on the fact that we're looking at 150 miles that you have to get through, and based on what we saw last year and really in the last couple of years, I'm going to mention that 3 years ago, this race went green flag start to finish. You win a race like that very differently than the last 2 races, which have had 11 and 13 caution flags respectively.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. It really just depends on the agendas of each of these drivers. Obviously, if you're Josh Berry or Alan Bowes or any of these guys that feel like they're locked into the Peak Antifreeze Series, they're going to go out there and they're going to race aggressive. They're going to try to do everything they can to try to win tonight's race. However, if you're a guy like Trey Edson or any of these guys down at the bottom, Ryan Lowe, Dylan Jones, Mitchell Hunt, you need to be conservative and you need to just come out of this with a good finish. You don't want to try to go out there and be overly aggressive going for the win because you're going to put yourself in a bad position and you could cost yourself a good finish and some seriously important points going into Daytona next week. I have a feeling you're going to see the guys at the top of the points dominating this race tonight. They're going to have a good run. They know they're locked into the Peak Antifreeze Series, or they're very close to being locked into the Peak Antifreeze Series, and they're going to go out there and race that way. I don't think you're going to see these guys that are around the bubble spot racing too hard or being up in contention for the win.
However this one plays out tonight, we can promise it's going to be exciting, and we're happy to have you along for the ride. So with that, the official qualifying sessions are now completed, and as the drivers get set to hit the track for round 8 on a 2015-2016 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series schedule, we'll step away and take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll drop the green flag on the Richmond 200. You're watching the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series on iRacing Live at LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Feel like we're back live at the virtual Richmond International Raceway. We're getting set to get round 8 of 9 on the 2015-2016 Pro Series calendar underway. Warm-up session just now drawing to a close, which sees at the top of the warm-up session standings Cody Bias with the fastest time in the practice session. However, qualifying has already been completed about 15 minutes ago. These drivers tried to qualify for the 43 available spots. It is time to do battle for 200 laps at Richmond, and we're happy to have you with us again, as always, on LSRTV at iRacing Live. So let's take a look at Rackham and Stack and let you know where they will line up for the Richmond 200. It is going to be a pole position. How about that? The 38 of Ryan Lowe with the 19.920. Bested them all in qualifying. He'll lead us to the green flag tonight. Outside of poles that are going to be the 88 as well. Championship points leader, Josh Berry. Andrew Fayash, the third below the cut line. Got a good starting spot tonight. The 77 car will roll from third. P4 to the number 18 of Damon Burnett. And another driver that's looking for a good finish tonight qualifies inside the top 5. It's the 51 of Tyler Laughlin.
6th spot goes to the 82 of Alex Warren. The 42 of Dylan Duvall will ride off 7th. 8th spot goes to the 23 of Brandon Hoff. 83 Thomas Davis. He'll start 9th. And completing the 5th row on the outside in the 10th spot, the 46, last week's winner, Dylan Rafferty.
The number 44, Logan Clampett's going to roll off in that 11th spot. 12th goes to Alan Bowes. 55 of Nick Furler will start 13th. 14th goes to Cody Bias. The 17 of Justin Trombley is going to roll off 15th.
16 tonight going to be the 98 of Ryan Borges. Adam Gilliland will start 17th. 18th, Rob Ackley. Shane Doherty, 19th. And 20th to Nicholas Johnston.
21st going to go to the 40 of Joshua Lawton. 81 Mitchell Hunt. 39 of Michael J. Johnson. The 11 of Brad Davies. 24. 25th, the 09 of David Rattler. 1 of Timmy Hill starts 26th. 27th, 14 of Robin Williams. 20 Greg McKinney. 28, 29, 6 of Trey Edson. 02 Blake Bryant will start 30th.
And then to wrap up the field tonight as we get set to get underway, 31st position of Byron Daly through Kyle Putz, Dylan C. Jones, Joey Israelson, Jason Jacoby in 35th, and then Jacob Harper's Teamy Weaver, Landon Harrison, Brandon Schmidt, and Paul Kashiba will round out your 40-car field, and it appears that most, if not all, the drivers will take the green flag tonight from the starting grid. Lights are off on top of the American Childhood Cancer Organization for the Mustang GT Pace car, which means it's time to do battle at Richmond International Raceway. This race was one of the more unpredictable and crazy ones we saw last season. There's a lot of guys that would prefer that not happen here tonight. Nonetheless, as tonight marks the penultimate round on this championship, it is an important one to do very well in, and Ryan Lowe's going to get us underway. We're happy to have you with us on LSRTV and iRacing Live. Pace car down and away from the inside of the racetrack. Green flag flies. Richmond 200 underway. It's all Ryan Lowe down to turn number 1.
Fayash going to work to the inside of the Speedco Chevrolet of Josh Berry. Those two wheel to wheel now out of turn number 2. Berry going to have the advantage there on the outside line with the momentum, but Fayash hanging tough, but Berry's going to close the door right behind them. The 51 of Tyler Laughlin, the 82 of Alex Warren. Those two still side by side and give the edge across the start-finish line at the end of the first lap to Tyler Laughlin, put him in fourth. He's trying to bring along the 42 of Dylan Duvall as well, alongside the 18 of Damon Burnett.
Yeah, Burnett started on the outside of row number 2, P4. He's still stuck up on the outside of the racetrack again. An outside line may be a thing later on, but definitely not now. The bottom the place to be, and that's why Burnett is doing a good job of hanging tough topside on Laughlin, but it's not going to be enough. He will drop back and now lose that spot. His primary objective now to get in line, and a challenge from Dylan Duvall not strong enough. So Burnett going to drop down behind the 51. You can give him P5 behind Dylan Duvall. Did pick up a spot and all of that. The number 42 goes from 7th to 6th.
Yeah, so far the whole field right now already strung out single file. A couple guys started from pit road though here tonight. 44 of Logan Clampett was one of them as we saw him come off of the pit road there as the field was going by him. Timmy Hill was the other one. So everybody's single file now. Alan Bowes, he's trying to make some moves right now to get around Nick Furler. And Alan Bowes, one of those guys now, he dropped out of that points lead. He's looking to have a good run here tonight, trying to make up some of those points before they head into Daytona.
Yeah, and just a quick update. The two drivers who started on pit road tonight, they didn't start on the grid. One was Logan Clamp in that 44. He's running 39th right now, 1 lap down, as well as the number 1 at Timmy Hill. He also started on pit road. He's running 40th, also 1 lap down.
Couple of battles going on the racetrack. Nothing at the moment for the race lead, though. Ryan Lowe is out in front. Your top 10 drivers have single file things out all behind what we were talking about, the battle with Tyler Laughlin and Damon Burnett. Remember how Laughlin won that fight? Well, he just fallen to P6 now. Damon Burnett now up to 4th. Dylan Duval going to take over the number 5 spot, so the 51 Monster Energy Chevrolet losing those spots that he gained on the drop of green flag. Now 1 in the negative. Big movers just behind. You mentioned Alan Bowes wanting points. He'll go for position number 3. He'll take it, move him from P12 to now 9th position on track. Above Nick Furler back to the 55, still in a positive of 3 after he started back on the inside of row number 7. Doing a pretty good job, last driver inside of the top 10. Brian, making that call to start from pit road is always intriguing me because there's tracks where you can do it, and what it does is it just puts you out of the chaos. But here, you're already a lap down before you even have a shot at it.
Yeah, the issue with doing it on a short track is they make you sit there long enough to where the whole field is going to be able to pass you before you can exit pit road. And at a short track, when you only have a 20-second lap like these guys are seeing here, by the time the last car gets by you, the leaders are just about back on top of you and putting you a lap down. So for those guys, I think they still wanted to do this, and I think that was their plans, even though they knew they were going to go a lap down. I'm assuming they're expecting to have cautions where they can get the wave around or the lucky dog and get back on the lead lap. So it's an interesting call, and if it goes green, they're going to be in trouble. But if we have cautions, they're going to get back on the lead lap and they'll be all right.
No caution, but a close call by the 55 Nick Furler. You're taking a look at the replay right there. He wasn't able to hang on after, again, I mentioned he picked up 3 spots. Now he's going backwards as Cody Bias goes to the inside of the racetrack. So is the 8 right there, Adam Gilliland. They're trying to get something going, and it got real tight at a turn number 4. So although there's not a lot of excitement inside the top 3, these guys just outside the top 10 racing no holds bar. Lap 12 at 200 already in the works, and we're watching that fight for what's going to be P13 on track.
As that battle starts to heat up to 27 at Cody Bias, tries to get up to the 55 and Nick Furler, trying to bring along the 8 of Adam Gilliland, and you also have the lap machine, the 44 of Logan Clampett mixed in that battle as well, as Bias now within a car length of Furler off on the back straightaway. He's looking to the inside once again as the field files his way through turn number 3. Already 13 laps in the books. You're out of 200 here at the Richmond International Raceway. And Bias not really gaining much ground as everybody's still kind of single file. First battle shaping up on the racetrack looks to be for about 9th place with the 82 of Alex Warren and the 46 of Dylan Rafferty.
In the top 8 have a good amount of space amongst each other. When you get back to 9th, Warren and Rafferty, then you start to talk about Trombley, Davis, Furler through 13th position. That's where these guys are very close together. You see at the bottom of the racetrack, it'll be a side-by-side fight to turn number 1, and not much of a fight put up by the driver on the outside. Alex Warren going to give up the number 9 spot, giving it to Dylan Rafferty, so the 46 now inside of the top 10 to P9, and it looks like Warren's going to have to deal with Justin Trombley in a moment. Good battle, though, starting to kind of brew. I know we'll keep an eye on this fight around P10. For the number 2 spot, though, Josh Berry and Andrew Fayash, the third, are about 2/10 apart, making a car length or 2 in turns 3 and 4. Nothing really coming from that yet, but they have battling amongst themselves the last couple of laps, albeit it is now 1 second behind Ryan Lowe, who's trying to set sail out in front of the field.
Yeah, Ryan Lowe has really set the pace here early on. A big last week's winner, Dylan Rafferty, we just talked about him moving up through the field. He dropped a few positions on the start. Started 10th on that outside row. He dropped back to about 13th, so he's got a pretty fast car because once he got around Justin Trombley, he's really pulled away from him now. So Dylan Rafferty, we have to keep an eye on him as we're on board with him right now, as he's really starting to close in on Brandon Hoff right in front of him in the 23. Those guys right now trying to set the pace, trying to conserve some tires right now, but Rafferty's really got a fire underneath that car right now. He's on the move.
And that battle for second that I mentioned a lap ago, well, it happened and went away very quickly. Andrew Fayash going to get the spot from Josh Berry. The 77 got the inside positioning. And unlike what we saw in the opening 3 laps or so, Brian, outside lane Josh Berry, he just let him go. He stuck the hand out the window, jumped back down in line. That's, I think, a smart idea if you're trying to pace yourself to not put up a fight and drag you and that other guy back. You have a good gap between you guys in P2 and P3 right now, back to the guys 4th on back. That's Damon Burnett. They're sitting about 1.5 seconds in front of everybody else. So Josh Berry playing for the long run, waved the 77 on by. He'll drop to 3rd, and Fayash jumps to 2nd.
Yeah, I don't know if he's very happy with his car now. I've been watching him the last few laps, and it looks like he's really struggling to get the car to turn through the center of the corner and then get up off the corner. It really just looks like he's struggling with a tight condition. He's probably going to need to make some adjustments when they get on pit road. I've actually noticed that with quite a few of these drivers through the field. I was messing around. We have the 82 around of Alex Warren down the back straightaway. He's down below the racing surface, so no caution will come out. I'm trying to see what happened to him there. It looks like he just got loose off turn 2. You're seeing the replay on your screen now. He just got loose and nosed it into the inside wall. A little bit of damage to the front of his car, but no caution on the speedway.
And we did say that turn 2 is going to be the spot to look out for tonight. It's the way it was last year, and it looks like it's going to be the same. That is heavy front end damage on the core pipe machine of Alex Warren, who's now going to fall to P38. Didn't lose the lead lap quite yet. I'll say that because Ryan Lowe is going to be right on the back of him now, and he's going to be putting that number 82 machine a lap down in just a lap here or so as he gets to the back bumper. So with all of this going on, Ryan Lowe getting held up just a little bit in 1 and 2 by the 82 and the 77. Fayash is digging it. Here comes that Integrity Racing League Chevrolet trying to battle for the race lead, but now the 77 gets trapped side by side with the lap traffic. He'll have to deal with that 82 top side all the way down the front stretch. It gives Lowe maybe a car length or 2 back on the advantage.
The ebb and flow of lap traffic is really kind of showing itself here in the early going as we're 25 laps in the books this time by of 200. Ryan Lowe has about a 2.5, call it 3 car length gap between himself and Andrew Fayash, but Fayash once again takes another 1/2 tenth out of that lead, so about a 1/2 car length that last time by, about 1/10 per car length at this racetrack. Lowe trying to drive away, but his tires already starting to fall off as Josh Berry starts to climb his way back into the battle. He's about 1 second from your leader, Ryan Lowe, as Fayash is right there. The gap, 2 car lengths now at the stripe.
Yeah, big points implications here with Alex Warren having his issues there. He came into tonight's race 13th in points. He was about 20 points ahead of 21st in points coming into tonight. So now sitting back there in 37th, 1 lap down, he's in a very bad position. He needs to get a caution so he can get his car fixed so he can try to get back into this. There is no more drop weeks. They can only use their drop weeks during the first 7 weeks of this season. So now this finish is going to count towards the rest of his season. If he finishes back here in the 37th or 38th position, it's going to really hurt his chances of moving on into the Peak Antifreeze Series.
And problems with Team Ueven in the 99 Chevrolet was running in 37th position, pulled it down pit side, and is manually disconnected from the sim after getting 4 tires and fuel added to that car. So we'll take a look to see if he gets back on track, but it looks like Team Ueven is going to be the first DNF on the night. He has scored in 40th position at the moment. Now behind the 3 drivers that sit 1 lap down at Alex Warren, Logan Clampett, and Timmy Hill. Battle for the race lead, about to be one in maybe 1 or 2 laps. Andrew Fayash is now on the back decklet of Ryan Lowe, and he's catching that 38 for the top spot as we complete lap 30 this time at a turn number 4, just as we're starting to catch the tail end of the lead lap field of cars. That could be a factor, which right now I think would be anything working in the favor of Ryan Lowe, because that 77 has caught up to him and did so quickly, gap about a car length between P1 and P2, down in turns 3 and 4, and they're about going to catch Paul Kashipa's number 72 machine, scored in 36th.
As the leaders try to make their way around Kashipa right now, a gap inside of 1 car length. Fayash right there in the tire tracks. Whoa, trouble! Contact a little bit loose for the 77 of Fayash. Gets it gathered back up, and Kashipa not really trying to steal the momentum away from Fayash, but wow, was that a moment. Fayash has to run away probably, 1/2 second, guys? That was a big momentum loss for Andrew.
It looked like that 77 was trying to get up in front of the 72, and he got sideways trying to stick with that 38, and Paul Kashiba was there, did a good job of staying off him, but that was almost junk for Andrew Fayash III. So I said that the lap traffic, if anything, is going to work in favor of Ryan Lowe, and it did so in that scenario, because now the 38 machine is going to get his gap back, and one driver headed down pit side. It's Alex Warren, and the core pipe machine coming down, and it looks like Zisco, the core temps on that car going up.
Yeah, he's overheating in that number 82 machine, Alex Warren. He's going to pull it down to pit road. I'm actually surprised he didn't get the meatball flag there for having a little too much damage, but he'll keep it going. Does slide a little bit into his pit stall, able to do repairs though, but that car is really in a bad way right now. He's going to try and get some of that damage fixed so that it doesn't blow up on him as the race goes on.
The team going to assess the damage on that car, going to get back out, but now scored in 39th position and multiple laps down for Alex Warren. Lap 36 of 200 is in play, and the battle for the race lead has simmered down for the moment. Fayash lost about a second of time or so when he had that close call with the lap machine of Paul Kashiba. Other than that, everybody else on the lead lap, they're still in that large pack that we talked about. However, instead of just outside the top 10, let's talk about P20 on back. The number 11, Brad Davies, scored in 20th. You could make it 19th when he comes by the start-finish line. This time, he'll put a move to the inside on the 40 of Joshua Lawton. A lot of action, anywhere from 12th, I'd say, back to 25th. You got about 13 cars and about 1 or 2 seconds of each other in that pocket there. Big battle going on right in the heart of the lead lap pack.
Yeah, it is a pretty good battle, and you watch all these guys because, you know, in reality, they're about half a lap from going a lap down. So these are all important positions for all these guys right now as we continue to watch Davies make his way around Nicholas Johnston right there. So he's on the move right now, Brad Davies, from that 24 spot. Took him a little bit to get going, but once he did, it looks like that 11 car is pretty fast. The problem for him now, though, is track position. He's going to have to do something evasive, either pit early and try to take advantage of some fresh tires, or he's going to have to take a 2-tire stop at some point to get some of this track position he needs.
Alan Bowes looking to recover after 2 bad weeks back-to-back, which a terrible result just 1 week ago at Kentucky, earning just 7 points. That took over his drop week, so the prior week where he only racked up 14 points ends up counting towards his total. That's a big part of why Josh Berry took over the championship lead. Bowes so far so good tonight. Started at P12. He's up to the number 6 spot. He's one of the big movers so far. Couple of other guys I'm keeping a half eye on. Mitchell Hunt's number 81 machine has had a quiet season right now. Started 22nd tonight. He's moved his way up to 14th on the racetrack. He's just behind Adam Gilliland, as well as Cody Bias, Justin Trombley, and Nick Furler. Those are 4 other drivers that have all gained spots since the start of the race.
Real quick, just want to update on Timmy Hill and Logan Clampett starting from the pits. They are now in danger here because the leader is starting to catch the tail end of the field, and he's starting to put those guys a lap down. So now Logan Clampett and Timmy Hill are no longer in position to take the lucky dog if a caution were to come out. Now they have to try to catch these guys and make a pass on those guys to get into that position. So this strategy, while it seemed like a good idea at the beginning of the race, now that they have gotten into this race caution-free for 42 laps, it's starting to backfire on them. The leader's about to put at least 5 or 6 more cars a lap down, and that's going to make it very difficult for them to get back on the lead lap. They're going to need multiple cautions at this point if they're going to get back up there.
And they've got more company, at least 1 lap down at the moment. The number 89, Landon Harrison, going to lose his lead lap status in 35th position. That would have put him, though, in the lucky dog spot as they run right now. But Ryan Lowe is right in the thick of things. Justin, kind of like a Dover, kind of like a Bristol at a track like Richmond. Once you catch that lap traffic, if we continue to stay green almost a quarter of the way through this, Richmond 200 already, that lap traffic is not going to thin up anytime soon. And Lowe actually got a little bit of a love tap that time at turn number 2, but 19 of Jason Jacoby, one of the lap cars he was getting around.
Yeah, and that's really been the story thus far through about the first quarter of the race so far, is the fact that lap traffic plays no friends to leaders whatsoever, as Jacoby kind of blocks the low line away from the 77 of Fayash. He's trapped behind Jacoby as Ryan Lowe just starts to set off towards the sunset. The gap now somewhere around 1 second the next time by, and Jacoby, I don't know what he's doing, but I'm gotta say he's really not trying to make any friends, as now he does indeed let Fayash go down in 1-2.
And those lap machines, again, they don't have to let the leaders go on by, but if you run in the preferred lane and you're fixing to get yourself moved, the big thing is when I mentioned that when these guys put a lap down to Landon Harrison, that he was in the lucky dog spot. Now that the 19's gone a lap down, he's in the lucky dog spot. And these guys aren't all that far apart from each other. It's not like we're hitting a lap car every 5 or 10 seconds of race time. These guys are not only battling amongst themselves and for that lead lap position. Once you put them a lap down, they're fighting for that lucky dog spot, because if a caution flag comes out, getting that wave by right away instead of having to stay out, deny pit service to get your lead lap back, that's a huge difference maker.
Yeah, the problem for those other guys that aren't a lucky dog right now is this run has been too long right now. 50 laps about to go in the books here in a moment or so, and you cannot stay out, get the wave by at this point on the run. Your tires are just going to be way too junk to actually get any speed or even stay on the lead lap once it goes back green flag racing. So we'll have to keep an eye on those guys. Obviously, multiple cautions is probably what it's going to take for Clampett and Hill to get back on the lead lap, but we'll see how it shakes out here. Always, once you get one caution, they typically breed into more.
Couple of fights inside of the top 10. You can give Alan Bowes another one. The iRacing.com 21 now in the number 5 spot. He'll drop Dylan Duvall back down to the number 6 position, and that makes Alan Bowes one of your biggest movers so far tonight. He's gained 7 spots from the start of the race. Mitchell Hunt's still the biggest mover as well. Brad Davies, they have both picked up about 8 spots each. We talked a little bit about guys trying to run the high side earlier on in this race, and Brian, we're slowly starting to see that preferred group slide up just a little bit now that we passed that quarter distance mark, working lap 52 rather, of 200 on the night.
We actually have one around on the front stretch right now that brings out our first caution of the night. Greg McKinney in the number 20 machine. He got sideways right off turn 4. He was actually battling for position there, and he got a little loose off turn 4 and lost it, and he brings out our first caution of the night. But back to what you were saying, yeah, I was seeing that as you see the replay here on your screen. That middle groove is starting to work a little bit. I've seen a couple of these guys be able to hold off their competition by running that middle groove. You're also starting to see a little bit of rubber buildup around the bottom of the track, so I certainly think the racing groove is moving up some. I don't know that it's going to move up a lot, but it's given them a little bit of an option. And now we're going to see our leaders on pit road. Cisco, what are we going to see down here?
Actually, not really sure yet. As usual, the crew chiefs have been quiet all night, so I guess we'll find out here. It's been about 53 laps right now, so we're already a quarter through the race, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some 4 tires. Probably would be my call here, would be 4 tires, but we'll have to see. As we mentioned, it looks like Ian, or I can call him Logan Clampett and Timmy Hill are both going to have to pit 1 lap later. Meanwhile, everyone's in their pit stalls right now taking tires. Looks like 4 tires is going to be the call tonight. I am not seeing anyone trying to make the gamble here. 4 tires for Alan Bowes. He's out of his pit stall. One of the first cars out. Looks like Lowe's going to win the battle off pit road, so it's going to be Ryan Lowe, Andrew Fayash, Josh Berry. Alan Bowes able to get another spot on pit row, and Damon Burnett's going to roll off P5. Great pit stop for him.
I'm still not entirely convinced that we didn't see contact in turn number 4. It is some hard racing, and it's the second time we've seen somebody self-spin, we'll say, and the first time in turn 2, that time in turn number 4. It's not like they snap that quickly when these cars go around, but once you lose the traction underneath you, Justin, it's very hard to gather these cars back up at this track.
Yeah, these cars, once you start stepping out of line, especially on a turn 2, for some reason, that transition from banking to being almost flat, you just lose the right side of the car, especially once you start coming around, and it's pretty much either do the best you can to wrestle it to get back straight or just lock her down, because it's going to go around one way or the other. And really, it's impressive to see some of these guys be able to hold on to some of these cars, like Fayash with that incident with the lap car out of 2. I mean, that was a real piece of driving there. And how about the timing of the caution, guys? Fayash was really starting to fall off. He lost some 1.5 seconds after that incident with the lap car and was really starting to fade away really hard.
The long green flag runs are good for drivers that have the long run speed, but every time you throw a restart into it, it lets the guys with the short run speed get an advantage. And we talked about how important track position is here. Not that it's an incredibly difficult track to pass at compared to some of the other ones that we've raced at, but it's not a walk in the park either. Getting everything you can on these restarts is key. We've only had one green flag tonight. It was at the start. Now that we've got laps on the board, I'm looking at a green flag probably with about 143 laps to go or so. There is still plenty of time, but you will see that urgency to get to the bottom of the racetrack. Andrew Fayash is not on the bottom. That would put that 77 in a bad spot.
Yeah, it would put him in a bad spot, but we did see on the initial start of the race there that 88 of Barry was actually on the outside. He started in that second position. He was able to get by Andrew Fayash going through 1 and 2. So not to say on the first lap or two that outside lane could work for these guys, but we'll have to see what'll happen here on this one if Fayash will actually be able to get the advantage. But it's going to be all dictated on the restart and what kind of restart Josh Berry can get on that inside lane if he can time it just right with low.
There is still plenty of time to go in the Richmond 200. The pace car going to make the sharp left-hand turn, get down and get out of the way. Second time, Ryan Lowe in control. American Ethanol, green flag, back in the air. He set sail. He is gone. Give him 5 car lengths by the time they get to turn 1. Top side, Alan Bowes. He'll jump in from the outside of row number 2 to the bottom of the racetrack. That does leave Andrew Fayash, the number 77, stuck on the outside, putting up a good fight with the 88 of Josh Berry, down to 3 and 4. Battle is for second behind Ryan Lowe.
Especially as those two still wheel to wheel now, sailing off towards turn 1 once again. Nobody really gaining any momentum at this point. Now the 88 of Josh Berry looks to get the advantage and does clean the nose of the 77 of Fayash, and Fayash going to cross him over, going to go right back to the bottom and get right back up to the second spot. Now how about Alan Bowes in the 21? He's going to sneak to the inside of Josh Berry, and now he's looking for more. He wants the second spot away from Fayash.
He got to the bottom. He wasn't able to hold it, but I mean, he was behind Berry in turn 4 and almost passed 2 drivers in the course of turn 4 to turn 1 down the front stretch. Almost got the job done. Not quite, but he's going to fall to P3 at the moment. He gets just such a big run off the corner that he's really able to power it down into the turns, but he's definitely braking a lot sooner than some of these guys so he can get the momentum on the opposite swing of things. He'll put up a challenge, I bet you, with that Andrew Fayash just in front of him for the number 2 spot. These guys have to keep in mind, though, that Ryan Lowe is now 0.8 of a second in front of these guys battling for second on back. Restart came. We got 32 drivers still on the lead lap, and this battle for second, one of the closest inside the top 5, top 15. Bobble for the 55 of Nick Furler. He just about junked it in turn number 2. Car broke sideways, stepped it up the hill. He will hang on, but it's going to open up the inside for Dylan Rafferty. And if he cannot get in behind that 46, the freight trains are coming with the 88, or rather the 81 just behind it. Mitchell Hunt, the 27 to Cody Bias as well. But it looks like Furler will get down and find a hole.
Yeah, he was able to do that, but just behind him, Cody Bias trying to work his way to the inside of Justin Trombley. Trombley hanging tough on that outside. That outside lane in turns 3 and 4 really starting to take shape right now as the cars start to slowly migrate up there. Oh, it looks like trouble right there for Tyler Laughlin in turn number 1 and 2. He's going to lose a ton of spots down the back straightaway. Finally gets it back up to speed in 3 and 4. We'll see if he can finally get back to the bottom lane there, but trouble for the 51 off turn 2 that time.
And it was a spectacular save in turn 2. We'll take a look at the full screen replay. That Monster Energy Chevrolet getting sideways. We talk about the importance of not overdriving the entry, Brian. He just missed his mark, got in way too hot. He was about 3 lanes up off the bottom of the racetrack. It's a good piece of driving to hang on to it, but he's now much slower than the guys around him because he's heated those 4 brand new tires up.
Yeah, that's the problem when you slide the tires as bad as he did, is it's going to heat him up and make him extremely loose. And he's going to have to just take it easy for probably about 10 laps or so and get those tires to cool back down. Unfortunately, he's used all the good off those tires now. He's not going to be able to manage his times here and keep pace with these guys, he's going to need a caution. But if he can get them cooled down, at least he won't have that loose condition that he's probably feeling right now. He's been stuck out on that outside line here for the last couple of laps, which isn't helping matters any either. Now he's finally able to get clear to the bottom, so it's going to be interesting to see how far back he drops in the next few laps. He's almost made contact with the guy behind him. The guy almost ran into the back of him there, the number 90 machine. A little bit of contact there, maybe. But they're working hard right now, and he's actually staying up in that middle groove, even though he got cleared. So that must be his preferred racing groove right now. So we have a wreck behind him. The second caution's out.
Caution flag will fly, and it's big problems in turn number 2, I believe. Shane Doherty, one of the drivers that involved at Ani, won the number 6 machine as well. It all started in front of Doherty that I mentioned, and it is the number 6 of Trey Eidson, who's going to be the first driver to go around. I cannot quite come up with the Clemson Tigers pun in time, so we'll just talk about that Toyota getting turned up into the outside wall. Contact comes from the bottom, and again, we talk about overdriving the entry. That 40 machine of Joshua Lawton just got in there too hot, cooked the car sideways, and when he stepped up the hill, he clobbered that number 6. There was nowhere on the track for Trey Eidson to go to get around that. He'll be involved, and it looks like a good piece of damage as well. I mentioned on the 91 of Shane Doherty, at least a 3-car accident in turn 2.
That was a pretty good pile up there in turn number 2, and 3 cars, like you said. We talked about overdriving into the corner. That's exactly what happened right there for the number 40. But Cisco leaders are all back down to pit road, heading to you.
Yep, not just the leaders. Pretty much everyone's coming down pit road. We had a pretty good run right there. Not as good as that first run, but we're definitely going to be seeing tires here. Tires going up on the right side right now. One car already rolling down pit road towards the exit. Bias just jumped out in front of him. The other car was the 12. Alan Bowe's going to get a great pit stop, but Bias with just a killer pit stop heads out first. Ooh, no, actually they're going to give it to Ryan Lowe. Ryan Lowe's actually going to be your winner off pit road.
It looked like the 27 at the stripe, and I think the advantage in this is going to come because of the fact that that 38 machine had the number 1 pit stall. So in order to win that race off of the pit lane, Ryan Lowe is doing 21 miles an hour when the pace speed is 40. But that number 1 pit stall was enough to give him the top spot, which is now interesting, Justin, because this is the first big swing of strategy that we're seeing tonight. Cody Bias took 2 tires on that Infinite Creative Solution Chevrolet to get him there, but that's not even going to get him the top spot. He'll find himself at the outside of the front row, the 12 behind him, and Kyle Putz, who started this race in 32nd position, is also on that 2-tire call. They both took right sides only.
Yeah, and it's really going to be interesting to see if these guys are really going to use these 2 tires up, or if they're going to ride a wave of cautions and try to buy themselves the track position they need to get up there, because as we've seen, it's a little hard to pass. I mean, Alan Bowes has kind of made fools of everybody running up from 12th to 5th under the first green flag run before that first caution flag flew, and then you have Kyle Putz coming from basically nowhere all the way up to 3rd. You know, all the way with just 2 tires and, you know, running up to the pack a little bit on 4 fresh ones here in the last couple of runs. But, you know, how about the strategy call that's going to happen right behind these 2 drivers with the 77 of Faye Ash, the 21 of Bowes, the 88 of Josh Berry? These guys all on 4 tires. I'm sure 2 tires not going to be as fast as 4, and that really going to play right into the hands of Ryan Lowe.
And then the question becomes, how much of this racetrack do they use to try to get around those guys on 2 tires? Because we're just now starting to see this race change, Brian. In the opening laps, we always talk about how you'll see the field kind of weed itself out. The guys that maybe had some poor qualifying efforts compared to what they have in race trim, they'll make some passes. Guys that are a little bit off on the setup, they'll start to fall down. Once you throw strategy into the mix, you really can't look at any numbers like that anymore. On top of the fact that we're just starting to see, and once we actually started to see it, we've gotten these 2 yellows back to back, so we don't quite know what that outside lane is like yet, but it is on the doorstep. That's a big factor as well that could play into this next stint depending on how long we go.
Yeah, I like the idea of doing your strategy calls early on, taking the chance on 2 tires or taking the chance on staying out early. It gives you an opportunity to figure out what it's going to do, if it's going to work, and if it doesn't work, you have time to rebound from it. So for Cody Bias and for Kyle Putz, I like this call. It gives them an opportunity to see what's going to happen, and if it doesn't work, they can still rebound and get back up there.
Pace car going to duck down for the second time for a restart. It is still Ryan Lowe, though, leading us to the American Ethanol restart zone. Green flag back in the air at lap number 74. Once again, it's a battle for second, but not just second. For second, fourth, sixth, and all back. They're 2 wide in turns 1 and 2. outside of the racetrack, though. 4 tires, Cody Bias. He gets out in front of the 12 machine of Kyle Putz. Behind him now, you're seeing that first driver on 4 tires outside of the racetrack, Andrew Fayas, trying to get to the 27. They'll go 3 wide behind and to the inside. Look at the 42. Dylan Duval. He'll get 3 spots in 1 corner. No contact. Somehow they make it through.
That was a close call right there with one of your championship leaders. Alan Bowes was caught right in the middle of that 3 wide action. As they're still going 3 wide, and they finally sorted out right there. Nick Furler looked to the inside of Burnett, made it happen. Rafferty had to slow up right there, and now they're all looking to the inside lane as Kyle Putz is now hot on the outside lane, which is probably not a bad spot for him. The problem is Burnett and the 81 of Mitchell Hunt now having problems trying to figure their way around, and Mitchell Hunt able to dive in, but a pretty good cluster right there behind the 12 of Kyle Putz.
And he's been consumed by the drivers on 4 tires so far. Furler, Bowes, Duval, Berry, and Fayash have all been able to get back around Kyle Putz, who is now in 9th spot with Dylan Rafferty getting around him. Battle for second is on, and it's all going on with Cody Bias, the lead driver on the 2-tire. Colin not going to have enough speed to hold off the Speed Coach Chevrolet on the inside of the racetrack. Josh Berry using those 4 tires to power on through to 3rd. Andrew Fayash is number 77. Chevrolet got clear the lap prior. He is out in front and now chasing down Ryan Lowe, who opened up a second gap in all of that. Watching Noah's Putz is going to begin to fall through the field. He's on the outside of the racetrack. He's going to bottleneck behind him. I'm curious to see how fast that 27 to Cody Bias falls through. He did look a little bit quicker compared to the 12 of Putz when we did get back green again. Both of those drivers working with 2 right side tires only. He's holding his own at the moment in 4th. Curious to see how long he'll be able to stay there.
Really going to come down to whether or not we're going to have a spat of caution flags, or we're going to go green like we did on the opening stint, for almost 50 laps or so. So really, Ryan Lowe is just out there smooth sailing. Gap is shrinking a little bit. Andrew Fayash starting to reel him in a little bit. Josh Berry is just riding tight in 3rd, and Alan Bowes is still trying to work his way up to the back decklet of the team Chevrolet of Cody Bias, as well as those guys all round out the top 5, and these guys just putting down laps. We're still a little bit before halfway. 20 laps to halfway this last time by. Going to make it 19 next time around. And really, these guys really have to shake it up and see what they got, because a good battle going on. 4/12 with Kyle Putz. He's just still holding up traffic. He's got the 23 of Brandon Hoff, the 11 of Brad Davies, all stacked up to his inside right now. So those guys really working hard to get around that Stim Cemex Ford.
Yeah, he's on the outside of the racetrack, which is the place you want the slower car to be. You're going to the inside. The 23 of Brandon Hoff going to make a move on him. The 11 there as well. Brad Davies throws an Audi of Nicholas Johnson into the mix as well. And again, not all that far behind. They'll start to catch the 39 of Michael J. Johnson, Justin Trombley, and company. So things not going that well for Kyle Putz. But again, he did start 32nd. So although I won't call this a success, he is in the positive still. And from where he started this race. But on 2 tires, Brian, what can you learn if it doesn't work? If you fall back like this, does that mean that you just can't do 2 tires for the rest of the night? Or can you learn anything else that you could apply if you want to try this again later?
I think it just depends on how many laps you have on the left side tires when you decide to take. And we have a wreck again. Brad Davies is in the wall for the 3rd time tonight. We have a caution. He's actually still going backwards, and it looks like the motor just imploded, and several others were caught up in that. So once again, we have a caution. A 3-car wreck started with Brad Davies. Looks like he had a little bit of a... Nope, he got loose off turn 2, and then a few more guys piled in. Actually, looks like 4 cars piled in. Kyle Putz and the 17 also piled in as well. You see the replay on your screen now.
That's the 2nd time tonight somebody lost it in turn 2, and unfortunately for Brad Davies, he went up the hill instead of down. Heavy damage for the 90 Nicholas Johnson, Kyle Putz, and the 17 of Justin Trombley are the 4 drivers that are going to get the brunt of that impact. It's a rather large accident halfway down the backstretch, and that brings us to lap 85. And we come right back down pit lane. Looks like all your leaders down pit side, Cisco in front of you. Tires, as we just saw in that most recent run, are quite important inside the top 5 and top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw the 12 of Kyle Putz. He took 2 tires, but unfortunately got caught up in that wreck there. So I'm hearing reports his engine just let out, so he's going to have to get towed back to pit road if he didn't make it. In the meantime, 4 tires going to be the call for our leader. Ryan Lowe's going to barely win the battle off pit road. I don't know about that one. No, they're going to give it to Ryan Lowe there. Brandon Huff, though, I believe took 2 tires there. He's going to roll off second.
Hoff is going to get the number 2 spot via a 2-tire call in that IR Chevette production Chevrolet. But for the second time in a row, the race lead is going to be held by that 38 because he had that number 1 pit stall, which gave him the advantage going down to the end of the pit lane, because that line in which these guys are scored in their positions off of the pit road is marked by that green pylon there at the end. And I mean, that's no more than 5 feet, I'd say, outside of the box here, race leader. At some tracks, Brian, that's not a huge factor, but here at Richmond so far, that has been key, especially for Ryan Lowe, who's taken advantage of it every single time.
Yeah, he certainly has, and it's just been something that is going to help him throughout the whole night. But I'm really interested to see how this works for Brandon Hoff having the 2 tires. We saw it worked kind of for Cody Bias. He only fell back to the 4th or 5th position. Kyle Putz, on the other hand, was struggling. And back to what we were talking about before that caution came out, it was a good opportunity for these guys to take that chance and try to learn on what 2 tires will do. It'll also depend on how well your car is handling. If you have a good handling car like it looks like Cody Bias has, you can make 2 tires work better than if you have an ill-handling car to begin with. If your car is not doing what you want it to do, 2 tires is not going to be the answer. It's not going to fix it, and you don't want to take that chance unless you know you've got a good car. It looks like Cody had the good car, but Kyle was struggling a little bit. So it just depends on your situation, how many laps you have on the left sides, and what kind of speed you have after you get going out there.
Things worked for Cody Bias because he took 2 tires the last time, stayed inside the top 5, and with that, he's the 4th driver out now on 4 tires. He'll be scored a P5. It's a pretty good deal, all in all, over the last 2 runs for him, because he'll still have that top 5 position. So we will have Ryan Lowe in control of the field. He has led us across the start-finish line to take the green flag every single time tonight, through the start and now through 2 and what is soon to be 3 caution flags as the lights go off on top of the pace car. The way by going to go to Alex Warren, the 82, going to join up at the back of the pack. He is in 39th spot, though, 10 laps down. You've got 33 drivers on the lead lap. They continue to scroll across the top of your screen. The drivers that have had problems tonight: 34th, 1 lap down, Landon Harrison. Nicholas Johnston is 2 laps down in 35th. 2 drivers 3 laps down in 36th and 37th are Kyle Putz and Brad Davies. Justin Trombley is 38th position, 4 laps down. Alex Warren 10 back in 39th, and Timu Ivedin still the only driver to officially retire from competition tonight. He is scored in 40th, now 63 laps off the pace. Pace is lap 89 and now 90. 111 laps to go with the green flag. Ryan Lowe again nails the restart, no problems, getting into turns 1 and 2. He'll leave a battle for second behind. Fayash to the inside, 4 tires easily, going to beat 2 on the inside. He'll have a car length advantage into 3, trying to get clear of that 23. He'll do so. Move Fayash to second, and now Barry, he wants to take 3rd away from Hoff.
Wheel to wheel with Hoff across the stripe. Can Barry get it done this time by the Speed Coast Chevrolet entry? Gets a nose on the 23 of Hoff and trying to bring along the 27 of Cody Bias, the 42 of Dylan Duval, along with the 55 and Nick Furler as well. Your top 3 on 4 tires. The next guy is Brandon Hoff. He's on 2. Cody Bias trying to translate that 2-tire pit stop into something there. He must have took 4 the last time by on pit stops and stick his nose in there. Almost contact with the 23 of Brandon Hoff. That was a little bit of a moment there. Oh, trouble. 1 car around the 46 of Dylan Rafferty.
Rafferty goes around, everybody scrambles, it's big junk down the back straightaway at lap number 92. Dylan Rafferty from inside of the top 10 was on the outside of the racetrack, hit the brakes to get in line behind the 21 of Alan Bowes. That did not work with Tyler Laughlin right there, and the 51 sends the 46 around. Dylan Rafferty going to be involved. Obviously, the 18 machine collected. Looks like the 93 going to get a piece of that one. Timmy Hill just squeaking by, and a couple of other guys just spin behind that accident in order to be able to get through. But it's a big accident down the back straightaway, just shy of the halfway point in the Richmond 200. We'll take this opportunity under the caution flag to take a yellow of our own. We'll step away and be back for the restart. But at the closing in at the halfway point, Ryan Lowe is in front of the Richmond 200. He leads the penultimate round on the 2015-2016 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. More coverage on LSRTV on the other side. We're back live and getting set for a restart just shy of the halfway point from the Richmond International Raceway, almost at the lap number 100 mark of 200 on the night, and it has been absolutely 100%, Justin. Ryan Lowe tonight, the 38 has been so strong. We have seen, though, not only this year but in years past, guys lead races, dominate races, and they fall apart. So he's done good, but he's far from in the clear right now.
Yeah, that's going to be the case probably here once again tonight. I mean, you know, Fayash has had a strong car. He's gotten up there at times and really hasn't had the long run to really show what he can do since the first couple of adjustments or on the first couple of pit stops. And Josh Berry and his Speedco Chevrolet did very well in his Nationwide Series start here last fall, and really could do quite well himself and do it a little bit better with the virtual big car here at Richmond International Raceway. And Brandon Hoff still hanging top as the pace car dives to pit road. Green flag going to wave once again out in the air. Lowe already on the loud pedal, and Fayash and Berry going to go side by side now down into turn number 1, and the Speedco Chevrolet of Berry going to get the edge now coming out of turn number 2. He's going to clear the 77 of Fayash. The 27 of Bias goes from 5th to 4th. He's going to clear the 23 of Brandon Hoff, and those 4 drivers get all settled nose to tail there on the front straightaway.
27 can look to the bottom on the 77. That's Cody Bias taking a peek for the bottom step on the podium. Didn't go for it that time in turn 1, so Fayash going to maintain the number 3 spot. Bias behind in 4th. Inside of the top 10, now side by side, Alan Bose to the bottom on Dylan Duval. That does not come to fruition as the 42 makes a good run off the corner. He'll go around the outside of the 21, slice to the bottom, go to the inside of the 55, and Nick Furler, who, by the way, has had a couple of close calls tonight, has had a great recovery inside the top 10, but him and Duval go door to door in turn 3, battling for P6.
Pretty good battle right now, hanging tough. Furler on the outside. He's start in 3 and 4. The outside has been working. Duval, though, going to make easy work of that now entering turn number 1. Alan Bose, though, looking to the inside. It's kind of been an up and down night right now for our championship hopeful Alan Bose, who fell out of the top spot for the first time after last week's race. He's been up there in the top 3, but he's also been down here in the lower half of the top 10. So still struggling right now to really find his place and find out where he needs to be. Still probably a few more changes, a couple adjustments away from getting that thing right where he needs to be. But Alan Bose still showing some decent speed right now, just trying to find his way in line and pick him off.
There's a point on track when you get a certain amount pointed to the inside wall that car starts to kick up smoke. And Alan Bose broke sideways, smoking and everything right in the mirror. Nick Furler hung on to it and didn't even lose a spot from all of that. So the 21 machine digging hard in P7. It doesn't look like it's going to hurt him all that much either. He's got a good fight, though, going on in front of him. He's got a front row seat to Dylan Duval and Brandon Hoff, who are negotiating the number 5 spot. All of this behind Ryan Lowe, who's half a second in front of Josh Berry. Berry's got a mirror full of Andrew Fayash. The 88 and the 77 have been pretty evenly matched all night long. They're running exactly where they started to P2 and P3 respectively.
A little bit further back in the pack, the 98 of Ryan Borges, the 1 of Timmy Hill. Those guys trying to race pretty hard, swapping position on the racetrack. Timmy Hill going to look to the outside. Remember, he started from pit road, folks, and went a lap down and got a lucky dog. Finally worked his way up inside of the top 15. He looked to the outside of Borges. Borges going to try to do the same thing now in 3 and 4. And that's going to open the door for Timmy Hill and his number 1. Timmy Hill Motorsports Chevrolet to dive down to the inside and claim another spot. Move Timmy Hill now up into the top 12.
Timmy Hill doing a good job again. Started from the pit lane, lost a lap early, and we questioned that strategy. The other driver that did that, Brian, Logan Clampett. Well, Timmy Hill 13th and Clampett in 17th. Needless to say, it didn't end all that badly than what we first thought.
Yeah, I was nervous the way this race started out. It went green flag for a very long time, and I did not expect to see this many cautions because of how the race started. But once the cautions started flying, they continued to fly, and it really worked in their favor as they're both up inside the top 20. Logan Clampett right now sitting in the 17th position, so he's not too far behind Timmy Hill, and it looks like he's got a decent car as well. If he can get a little bit closer to the front, he might be able to challenge for a top 10 position as well. He's doing a very good job. Both these drivers are doing a very good job making their way towards the front right now, and this is kind of a different strategy for Timmy Hill than what I'm used to seeing. Typically he stays in the back until well after halfway before he starts making his march to the front. And I think because of the nature of this race, he decided he wasn't going to wait that long, as now he goes to the outside of his teammate Adam Gill, and he's going to try to take away the 11th position, and it looks like he's going to do it. Adam's going to let him take the position. You see on board with Timmy Hill right now as he takes over the 11th position. He's now going to set his sights on Tyler Laughlin for the top 10.
And that's a tricky maneuver to pull, but they did a good job because that 8 was on the bottom. That's the preferred lane. If Gilliland wanted to, Justin, I'm sure he could have challenged, but he backed off, let the one car make the pass top side, drop back down to the inside lane behind the 51 of Laughlin, and did so that that 8 of Gilliland didn't get stuck in line because he's got company behind him. So those guys worked very good together, and now they just caught Tyler Laughlin in a hurry. The one machine gets around him. Gilliland takes a peek, nothing going to come that time. Tyler Laughlin's been kind of hanging out around P10 for the most of the night. He is working, I will say, with a little bit of a damaged Monster Energy Chevrolet after he got into some contact earlier on.
And looking back up towards the top 5, Alan Bose has got a rear view mirror full of Brandon Hoff. He's been trying to stick his nose to the inside of Bose, and Bose starting to drift back from the front 4 as the top 2 of Josh Berry and Andrew Fayash. They just swapped positions on the racetrack once again. And Andrew Fayash just really running quick again. We're kind of seeing a repeat of what we've seen here in the first run there, Evan. Fayash quicker through the middle stage of the run. Going to have to see if they made the adjustment to stay just as fast towards the later stage of the run. But as it stands, Fayash now 4 car lengths the gap or so. Call it 3.5 now at the stripe.
He's holding Ryan Lowe honest, but he isn't good enough to get to him quite yet. We're at lap 114 of 200, so the count goes from an upwards one to a downwards one. We're past the halfway point, and now we begin to close in lap by lap on the checkered flag in tonight's race. A little bit past the halfway point, let's give you an LSRTV full field rundown and take a look at our iRacing.com Midway report presented by iRacing, the leader in motorsport simulations and the official sim racing partner of NASCAR. Your race leader is Ryan Lowe. He started on pole. He's been up there all night long. Problems behind your leaders. Cody Bias, the number 27 from P4 on track, has gone around. He is in the middle of the back straightaway, and that one looks like a self-spin down in turns 1 and 2. And once he was around in the middle of the racetrack, there was not a lot of room for a lot of guys to go.
As the replay goes up on your screen, that was a pretty interesting spin. Usually we see these guys lose it on the exit of the corner, but right there, Cody Bias losing it on the entry of the corner. Maybe a little too much brake bias in that thing right there, and got in it too hard going into the corner there, and the back end just really swung around on him. So it was almost a lazy spin there in the corner, but once he got righted on the front stretch, here came everybody else piling right in.
So with that, going to bring your leaders back down pit side for service at lap 116. Cisco, and it's the same old song and dance for Ryan Lowe. He's bringing us down.
Yeah, I got a little crowded on pit road there. It's a couple of cars involved in that accident came down this same lap because they had to get all that damage repaired. So got a little jammed up on pit road, but it looks like everyone's made it down safely now. Tyler Laughlin, he was having a decent night. He has to come down. He's got big damage to the right side of that number 51 monster car, but I think we've been on the run long enough now where I don't think we're going to see any gamblers right now. Ryan Lowe has a great pit stop. Barely going to beat Barry off of pit road, though. Josh Berry second. Alan Bose stays in fourth there. But looks like everything's pretty routine. Everyone kind of came and went where they were.
Yeah, it looked close up and a bit lame, but at that stripe, it was Ryan Lowe by about a car length going to lead us back to the green flag with Josh Berry behind in second and Fayash. So it looks like at least the swing of strategy that we saw at the halfway point that a couple of guys used to make up some decent amount of positions has kind of come to a close now, and this restart going to put us right on, if not just a little bit shy of 80 laps to go. You're working with 2 stints of 40 if we can get a couple of green flag runs. We have seen long green flag stretches. We saw one to open up this race. That's a possibility. You want to have those 4 tires in a scenario like this. Big movers, though. We've mentioned a few of them. One name that I don't recall talking about a whole lot, guys, the 03 of Dylan C. Jones, 33rd on the grid. He is scored in 10th position right now on track, just behind Adam Gilliland. That's plus 23 so far for him.
That's a great job. How about the 02 of Blake Bryant, going to be plus 17, 30th to 13th as well. And how about Jason Jacoby in the 19? 35th to 15th. That's plus 20, plus 22 for the 3 of Brandon Schmidt as well. And as it stands right now, I'm still, we've been talking about Timmy Hill a lot here in the last segment, but I'm still impressed. I mean, yeah, the grid says he started 26th, but he actually started from pit road, fell 1 lap down in 40th all the way up to now 7th on the racetrack.
And he's now got himself at a spot where, and even it looks like a car with the speed to challenge and try to go for this victory. So he'll be starting from the inside of row number 4. We'll see how that works out. Caution flag came out during our iRacing.com midway race break. We'll take a look again at where everybody runs. The top 10, Ryan Lowe, Josh Berry, Andrew Fayash, Alan Brose, Brandon Hoff, Dylan Duvall, Timmy Hill, Nick Furler, Adam Gilliland, and Dylan Jones in the top 10. 11th through 20th are Ryan Borges, David Rattler, Blake Bryant, Logan Clampett, Jason Jacoby, Joshua Lawton, Brandon Schmidt, Robert Williams, Michael J. Johnson, and Paul Kashiba. And then rounding out the 29 drivers on the lead lap is Joey Israelson, Rob Ackley, Tyler Laughlin, Jacob Harper, Damon Burnett, Trey Eidson, Shane Doherty, Landon Harrison, and Dylan Rafferty through P29. Plenty of cars, plenty of action still to go. We'll hit the nail on the head. It'll be 80 laps to go in the Richmond 200. Ryan Lowe inside of the racetrack. Andy, going to bring us back.
Yeah, his pace car now hits pit road. Does waste no time right there. Ryan Lowe all the way back on the throttle, heading back into turn number 1. Fayish now, though, that's the battle for second. Tries to get around Josh Berry. Josh Berry, we saw him do this at the beginning of the race. Able to hold him off on the top side. This time, though, it looks like Fayish has the upper hand as they head back to turn 3.
The 88 machine wants to keep that 77 as low on track as he can, because when we're single file, we're no longer down on the yellow line. These guys running up about half a lane to a lane, so that 88 could find himself in the preferred position, and he's keeping him honest. Still door to door at a turn number 2. What that means, though, is they're losing time on the race leader and to the guys behind them. So while Brandon Hoff and Dylan Duvall fight side by side for 4th, it is allowing the 21 Alan Bose behind to stay right in this conversation, and at the rate of 0.2 per lap, they're letting Ryan Lowe get away.
Yeah, they are. And 77 of Fayash still door-to-door with Josh Berry, and no caution on the racetrack for an incident. We'll get a replay for you here in just a few moments here. I'm hearing it's the Michael J. Johnson entry as well. As those two up front, man, they're still side by side, almost banging doors there a few times there through 1 and 2 on the back straightaway. Fayash, Berry, still side by side as you see a full screen replay of the incident with Michael Johnson.
He got sideways in turn number 2 by himself. It checked a lot of guys up, but he cross-checked the 72 of Paul Kashiba into the outside wall. No caution because nobody went all the way around, but I know the 22 got a look at that one, so damage on Rob Ackley as well as the 54 of Jacob Harberts. It's a 4-car accident. No yellow, though. We stay clean and green up front side, and that's where you'll see Josh Berry and Andrew Fayash III. The 88 on the outside, the 77 on the bottom. Still side by side for P2. Now a big run on the inside in turn number 3. Fayash trying to get clear. To 3 and 4 they go at lap 126. Finally, he'll get the job done. 6 laps off of the restart, not before losing a second to Ryan Lowe out in front, but it is Andrew Fayash now solely in control of the number 2 spot. Look at the 21. Here comes Alan Bose digging hard on the inside in turn 1, trying to make it a fight for 3rd. I think he'll get there.
He is there right now as they battle through the center of 3 and 4. Barry, though, holding tough on that outside lane. He's been probably the most consistent as far as making that outside lane work. Alan Bose, though, trying to make that. That's a great battle right there. The 2 championship leaders going at it head-to-head right here on the racetrack. Bose now come under fire from Dylan Duvall in turn number 3. Duvall now with that inside lane. Bose on the outside. He's got the position for now, but only half of the car length.
And we saw Duvall make up 1 or 2 car lengths, Brian, into turn 3 to get to the inside of Bose. He drove that car in so hard, but he made it stick, and that's how he's side by side right now for 4th.
Yeah, he did a really good job hanging on to that. When he drove it off into the corner, I thought he was going to slide up into Alan Bose and have contact with him, but he did a great job keeping that car under him. I've seen and raced with Dylan Duval for a lot of years, and that's the kind of driving style that he has. He's very aggressive on the track, and he's not afraid to make those risky moves to try to take a position from somebody, and he'll do that to you no matter what time of the race it is. He'll do that on lap 1 if that's what it takes to get a position. So not surprised at all to see that move, and it worked out for him as he's actually able to clear Alan Bowes now, and that's going to move him up into the 4th position. And now Timmy Hill is trying to work to the outside of Alan Bowes. He was not able to get the run he was looking for, but he's right there trying to work inside the top 5 now.
Trying to break that bubble and then do something with it. He's on the back of Alan Bowes. So Bowes has been a guy that's been going forward. So has Timmy Hill, Nick Furler as well. One guy that, again, is kind of hanging out still, Dylan Jones, started 33rd. He is 10th, but all of this is behind that fight for a top 5 spot on track right now, which Alan Bowes finds himself in the middle of. Just lost the spot to Duval, but the 42 machine not necessarily running away in the Brandon Hawk Racing Chevrolet. He's just in front of him, and that battle continues. But for the moment, we're single filed out inside the top 10 all the way through P25. Everybody on the lead lap at this moment. Single file at lap 133.
And we'll go through a rundown of the field as it stands right now. We got interrupted with the last caution flag. Right up front right now is going to be the 38 of Ryan Lowe by 1.1 seconds over the 77 of Andrew Fayash. The 88 of Josh Berry will ride 3rd. And the 42 of Dylan Duval, 21. Alan Bowes will be in 5th. The 1 of Timmy Hill, he rides 6th. 7th goes to the 55 of Nate Furler. The 23 of Brandon Hoff. The 8 of Adam Gilliland will ride 9th. And rounding out the top 10 will be the 03 of Dylan Jones.
So those are the changes inside of the top 10 that have occurred since we went back green flag at lap 120. Now at 135, closing in towards the end of this race, Brian, on a strategy note-wise for these drivers, something that we really haven't talked about. I know we were kind of getting ready to mention it earlier on until we've gotten a couple of yellows back-to-back here in the middle portion of the race, is fuel. We know that you want to come down and get tires. How are these guys looking fuel-wise to the end? Still sitting with about 65 laps to go or so the next time around.
Fuel run here is about 100 to 115 laps, so they are more than okay on fuel. That's not going to be the concern at all tonight for any of these drivers. It's just going to be about the tires. It seems like we're in a little bit of a long run here. They've been green for quite a few laps now, so if they get another caution, I don't think you'll see anybody take 2 tires unless it's right at the very end of this race and they're just trying to get some track position. But yeah, no, fuel will not be an issue for these guys. They should be good to go by 30 or 40 laps. They have nothing to worry about where that's concerned.
So they're just going to try to race this one out. There's guys that would like to see it go green. There's a couple of guys that would like the opportunity to get a couple more yellows, play a little bit more strategy in all of this. Well, the driver that likes option A is Ryan Lowe. He is out in front of the field by 1.4 seconds and now 1.1 seconds. Andrew Fayash picked up 0.3 of a second that last time, putting down a 20.869 to Lowe's 21.171. Just in front of the field, and it looks like some lap traffic getting worked by. That's the 82 car that your leaders are navigating right now. Alex Warren, who is 10 laps down in 29th. We've documented his problems that he's had on the evening, but Ryan Lowe is enjoying this race. He's out in front. He's got clean racetrack to Landon Harrison, who's going to be the first driver he would catch to put a lap down. Harrison running in 24th position at the moment is probably a quarter to if a third of the track still out in front of Ryan Lowe. So the 38 machine, he no longer, Andy, really has to deal with the thick lap traffic that we talked about earlier. If we go green, maybe the next 60 laps, you'll get to some of that, but you're going to have to start catching the top 20 guys, which are still all within 8 seconds of each other on the track right now. So things are setting up pretty good for Ryan Lowe at this moment. You just can't lose focus. You've done 142 laps, basically perfect. You got to get yourself 60 more. You'll be walking away with the W. But so far, I don't think it's far to say that he's been the class of the field tonight out in front.
That would not be a stretch, Evan, at all. Ryan Lowe has just come here on a mission. A very fast race car. Did not take a practice time at all. Started on the pole and then just has flat out dominated this thing. Led, I believe it's every single lap. I don't think anyone has led a lap other than Ryan Lowe here tonight. So he's doing his part as far as playing spoiler in this thing. Not really in the talk for the championship here this season, but he has had some good runs this season. This one by far has been his best, though.
So he sits comfortably at the moment. Again, Ryan Lowe, we talked a little bit earlier on tonight about the championship implications. I mentioned Ryan Lowe's name because he was 3 points below the cutoff to make the top 20 to be locked into the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series grids. Well, a W here tonight is certainly going to help his hopes of maintaining the top 20 position. He's got to get through Daytona. Again, we're fighting for a championship, but the ultimate picture, get inside the top 20 in points. That gets you locked onto the end pass grid. If you finish 21st through 30th in points in this championship, you can qualify for 40th through 43rd in the go or go home end pass grid spots every single week. And the guys that finish 31st on in the points will retain their pro license, and they'll go back down to A class and have an opportunity to try to fight and get back here next year. But there are drivers in this series that we have seen in this series for years. There's guys that we've seen in this series that have been in the Peak Antifreeze series for many seasons, but there's also a couple of new names that has been surprising to watch them try to work their way through the ranks. I feel bad for them that their fate's going to be determined next Tuesday at Daytona. So tonight you got to get everything you can out of it. That's what Ryan Lowe's been doing behind the wheel of that number 38 Chevrolet. He is out in front. We're going to hit 50 laps to go at Richmond in just a moment, and with that, we'll hit the home stretch from the Richmond International Raceway. So with that, we'll step away one final time on LSRTV, and we're going to go LSRTV nonstop, so you don't miss a moment of the action. Back from Richmond International Raceway in a moment. It's Ryan Lowe out in front of the Richmond 250 laps to go. I will. Okay. Well, we're back live at the Richmond International Raceway. The caution flag is now out at 46 laps to go, which means that we're going to be coming down pit side at least one more time. The problems are, though, for Dylan C. Jones, the 03 Chevrolet, had a self-spin in turn number 2. He found his way to the inside retaining wall. That is the cause of this most recent safety clean caution flag. So as you take a second look at that one and see what did bring us back under the yellow flag, we head pit side in front of you, Cisco, for what could be the final time tonight. If there's a stop that you gotta hit the nail on the head, it is this one at 45 laps to go.
Oh yeah, definitely the person who doesn't want to make a mistake here is Ryan Lowe. He's had the lead all night, and if he makes a mistake here, it might just cost him. This track is so hard to pass at. They've been making it look pretty easy tonight, but once everyone starts getting down to the nitty-gritty, I mean, we're 3/4 of the way through this race, it can start to get kind of frustrated out there, some of these drivers. So everyone hitting pit road right now. Call's probably going to be 4 tires. I don't think this late in the run, I don't think we're going to see anyone try and gamble, but We've been wrong before, so I guess we'll find out. Everyone hits their pit stall. Not seeing too many adjustments from our leaders as far as where they are in their pit stall, so everything looks good. Nope, looks like someone is going to take 2 tires. That or Trey Edson rolled through pit road. No, he did roll through pit road, so I think he's just trying to lead a lap, but Josh Berry's going to be the first car. No, he isn't. No, he isn't. Now we're getting the data to come in. Ryan Lowe does lead everyone off pit road. Then Josh Berry. Alan Bose has a great stop. He's going to roll off third for the cars who pitted.
In trouble for Fayash, the 77 came down the pit lane second highest amongst your race leaders, and it looks like he's going to exit pit road, I'd say about 4 or 5 deep. He actually overshot the stall on entry. He had to shift into reverse in order to actually get into the stall, be allowed to take service. That's what cost him that time, and you're not sitting in a spot where you can decide to take 2 tires to not lose that time, because that would only add insult to injury. So he's got to take 4 tires. He's going to have to work his way back up. He'll be about P5. He scored 7th because Robin Williams is number 14 and Trey Edson's number 6 stayed out. So the 14 machine is going to come down pit road this time, get service, and it's the Clemson Tigers Toyota of Trey Edson out in front of the field right now who decided to roll through pit road. I would expect that number 6 to be coming back down pit lane the next time by, but at least at the moment, he has had a rough night with damage and such, but he'll pick up a bonus point, at least at the moment, scored in front.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who we talked about on the bubble, so that bonus point definitely important for the number 6 of Trey Edson. So bonus points needed by guys going for the championship, but they're also needed by those guys on the bubble trying to get into the Peak Antifreeze Series. So Trey Edson making the call this late in the race to take the chance, take the gamble, get his point. Like you said, he should be coming down pit road this time here. It looks as though he will be now as he hits the apron. So he's getting that all-important extra point right there for him, and all that's doing is taking a lap lead away from Ryan Lowe.
Ryan Lowe has had plenty of them. I don't think there's going to be much of a challenge for most laps led. All he wants to do is finish on the top of the board. He'll walk away with max points, which is the best you can do, being the first driver highlighted in red in the championship standings now through the opening 7 races. He's got to close it out, though. It is still not over at Richmond. We have seen stranger things happen at this track in the past, that it will have 41 laps left to negotiate in order to see, well, where we'll end up at the end of the evening. Pace car going to dive down to the way. We're going to go back green and take lap 160 of 200. It'll be 41 laps to go for Ryan Lowe. Shotgun on the front row for this one. Going to be the number 88 Speed Chevrolet of Josh Berry. Green flag back in the air, and Berry going to be caught sleeping on the outside of the racetrack. Here comes up the bottom for the 21. Alan Bose will take second. Berry in third, and Timmy Hill in fourth.
As those guys get muscled out of the way, Timmy Hill just got a fender full of Andrew Fayash. Fayash spun the tires at the restart, and Timmy Hill had to drive down to the inside, and Fayash just was not going to let that happen and gave a fender full to Timmy Hill, who went up the hill. Timmy's just trying to settle back in line, but he's got, almost no gap whatsoever to get that done. And in the 55, and Nick Froberg now going to work to the inside of Timmy Hill. They're side by side once again, and as it looks like everybody up front here, and also a wreck on the racetrack.
Oh, the 02 is in the fence, the 25. It's Joey Israelson, Blake Bryant, more contact, the 25. The 03, it's Dylan Jones sideways at 1 and 2. Will go 4 wide down the back straightaway as they try to fit through, and somehow we make it to turn 3. Everybody's still in one piece as it all broke out outside of the top 10. I believe, though, we'll stay clean and green behind. Battle now inside of the top 10. Sees the one at Timmy Hill stuck on the outside of the racetrack. He'll finally find a spot down in line, not before giving up his top 5 position to Nick Furler and falling to 6th. And you'll take a second look at all of that calamity as it broke out at a turn 4.
Some pretty good driving by those guys right there. I'm not sure how most of them kept the thing straight and going in the right direction, but great job by a lot of those guys right there. Losing a few spots, losing some time, but at least the cars in somewhat of one piece, and they're still going the right direction. So we stay green, and good job by those guys. and now they'll get back after it and battle to get some more positions back here. As the battle right now, still pretty decent, right inside the top 10 right there. The 23 of Brandon Hoff, who we know took 2 tires early on in this race, and it paid off for him. He's been able to stay right up in there, top 5 at one point, and now still in the top 10, running in that eighth position. But he's got that 8 machine, Adam Gilliland, right behind him, trying to get it away from him.
And Gilliland in a good spot, going 17th to 9th, but so far the biggest mover all night, as we've been talking about a couple of times, had been Timmy Hill when you talk about where he was. But if we're talking about starting position, Brandon Schmidt has been quiet, but the number 3 LRM Chevrolet, 39th to 14th. Another shout out to the 19 of Jason Jacoby, 35th to 12th. Those are guys that have had a long night to get to where they run right now. They just quite haven't been able to crack a top 10 running position yet. I'm looking at the interval, though, between P1 and P2. It is Ryan Lowe in front of Alan Bowes. Can the 21 bounce back from a couple of rough weeks and steal the victory from Ryan Lowe? These guys are starting to pull away a little bit from Josh Berry, Andrew Fayash, and Nick Furler, who are scored 3rd through 5th at the moment. Bowes keeping him honest, but much like we've seen all night long, while you're not losing time to Ryan Lowe, you're not really making up much.
Not much at all, and somewhere in the neighborhood of just 1/100th of a second as we're on board Alan Bowes, looking up towards the leader in the 38 of Ryan Lowe. As you're seeing, Ryan Lowe runs about a half lane higher than does the 21 of Alan Bowes through turns 3 and 4, and I really think that's going to start lending itself to Alan Bowes here once we start getting later in the run. But he actually just took a big chunk of time, gap now inside at 2 car lengths, about a car length and a half now on the back straightaway as the battle is starting to shape up for the lead. Here comes Bowes in that RAR Chevette Toyota. Can he get up to the rowdy Chevrolet of Ryan Lowe as we're inside of 30 laps to go now?
And he's picked off a 10th the last 2 times around, so he's there at 30 laps to go. One bobble by Ryan Lowe, he's on you. You can't make a mistake. It's so difficult, Brian, as a driver for Ryan Lowe to not think, okay, I've led 171 laps, I can't screw up the next 29. You can't think about that. You can't look in the mirror at Alan Bowes. That's how those mistakes happen. You just have to look forward, keep doing what you've been doing. Sometimes it's easier being said than done.
Yeah, when you've had the dominant car that we've seen Ryan Lowe have all night, and you start having somebody that's able to keep pace with you or even close the gap on you, like we're seeing Alan Bowes do to him right now, it starts getting in your head. It starts making you think, can I drive the car any harder? And when you start doing those things, when you start thinking those things, it's going to start hurting you. You're going to start making mistakes. You're going to start overdriving the corner or even underdriving the corner because you're trying to figure something out. And he's got to be really careful here in the next 30 laps or so. If he makes any mental mistakes, Alan Bowes is going to capitalize big time. And Alan Bowes wants to get back in a position to win this championship. He lost the points lead after holding it for pretty much the entire season. He wants to make a statement and get it back. Obviously, with Josh Berry sitting right behind him in 4th, he's not going to get it tonight, but he can certainly close the gap and try to give himself a better chance going into Daytona next week.
And we're just about 26 laps away from heading to Daytona Beach for the season finale. The second to last trophy going to be dished out here tonight. And Ryan Lowe trying to hang on. If your leaders get up and into the mix with each other, who's behind them? Andrew Fayash is 3rd, just 0.8 of a second off to Josh Berry, Nick Furler. They've pretty much been 3rd, 4th, and 5th for the good second half of this run. Duval, Hoff, Gilliland, Borges, Rattler are inside of the top 10. I do want to note, though, that Timmy Hill was inside the top 4 on the restart. The number 1 machine has since fallen to 14th. Hasn't quite gotten it hooked up.
No, tough luck for Timmy Hill. Got trapped on the high side, shuffled to the back, and that's where he's riding right now, about mid-pack. And, you know, you're really looking at these drivers through the top 10 right now, and a good battle shaping up for that 5th spot. The 55 at Nick Furler, the 42 at Dylan Duval. These guys within a car length of each other, very close to start mixing it up, just like Alan Bowes and Ryan Lowe are on the racetrack, as the 42 at Duval looks to the inside a little bit out of 4 and almost gets into the fence out of 4, so that's going to give the edge to the 55 and Nick Furler, who pulls out another 500ths, and I'm really starting to see the gap open up now between your leaders, Ryan Lowe and Alan Bowes, as Fayash is right there beating on the back door of Alan Bowes, and Fayash is faster than the leader, because we really start to think, Evan, I'm beginning to think Bowes really uses tires up.
Yeah, we mentioned the aspect of Ryan Lowe seeing somebody behind him and him pushing that car, but when you're a guy like an Alan Bowes, you start to make up a little bit of time, Andy, on a track where you can't just decide to give it more gas and go faster. I mean, you're on the limit. These guys know that limit. But when you get close to somebody, you start to make up time. You start to think, can I get a little bit more and a little bit more? And you see now as Alan Bowes gets stuck on the outside and Fayash goes to the inside, you start to wonder, did that 21 push it a little bit too much? We didn't see him driving that car, snapping it sideways on this run, but we had seen him do that earlier in the night. So maybe he just pushed it a little bit too hard. Tires got heated. We're going to go 3 wide around the 18 lap traffic to turn 1. Fayash going to keep the nose planted on the bottom. This is good news, though, for Ryan Lowe because it's a good fight for second.
That's great fight, and he'll continue to pull away right now as Fayash still cannot get around Alan Bowes. Is still making it real tough for him right now off turn number 4. Alan Bowes still going to have that position right now. He's cleared the 77, but Fayash going to stick the nose right back in there into turn number 1. Might have him cleared right now off of turn 2. Not quite going to happen, though. They're still door-to-door for that battle for second into 3.
And a belt came up on him and thought he was clear, and that was almost contact in turn 2. And for Andrew Fayash, you know that you're quicker than him because you caught him, so you're getting frustrated because, and Justin, you mentioned it, that 77 was turning lap times quicker than Ryan Lowe. He can't be giving up a second or so, but the gap is already down to 0.8 of a second as they continue to fight. And Fayash knows that the further and further away that 38 gets, the slimmer and slimmer, I guess, his hopes really are. But that 21 machine is not giving him anything on the outside of the racetrack. It is giving Fayash a hard time breaking free, and it's allowing Ryan Lowe to get out and away. And finally, at lap 184, Fayash going to get clear. He'll jump up in front, but the damage has been done. He's now 0.7 behind.
Damage is done, and the damage is probably already done to the tires on Fayash. Going to have to see if he can start to reel in your leader, and does so by taking about 1/10 right between Ryan Lowe and Andrew Fayash. So you have to wonder, is Lowe's car starting to fade away here in the late stages? It'll be 15 to go next time by, and Fayash really got his work cut out for him because he's been able to get close, but never to Ryan Lowe to really attempt to make a pass.
You can see the gap he's got to go for it. He did pick up 1/10 that last time, so it's down to 0.6 of a second. Brian, from behind the wheel of Ryan Lowe and Andrew Fayash, what does each driver have to do to come out on top?
Well, if you're Ryan Lowe, you've got to do what you've been doing all night, but I'm kind of worried about his tires because on this run, he had the most competition he's had all night long with Alan Bowes staying right on him and really making him run hard at the beginning of this run. So if he's used those tires up, and it looks like Andrew Fayash has done a good job keeping the tires on his car, this could play in his favor. And if you're Andrew Fayash, you've got to keep doing exactly what you've been doing too. It's pretty much a very simple case for both these drivers. Just keep doing what you've been doing, and it could work out for you. As we see, Andrew Fayash just chopped off another 1/10 from Ryan Lowe. So if he keeps hitting his marks and doing what he's been doing, he's going to be there. But we saw how hard it was for him to pass Alan Bowes. It's going to be that much harder for him to pass Ryan Lowe. Ryan Lowe has dominated this race. It's down to just over 10 laps to go. He's not going to just pull over and say, here you go, Andrew, take the win from me. He's going to make him work for it. And that's going to make this a very exciting battle as he cuts another 0.5 off that last time by. He's going to get there. It's just going to be a matter of when, and does he have enough time to make the move.
The gap just under now 0.5 second. And Andy, to your favorite topic, no green-white checkers in the iRacing service this time by. 11 laps to go on the board. If we get a caution shy of 5 laps to go, we'll go back green. If a caution flies inside of the final 4 laps in this race, we would end under yellow. No cautions, obviously. We race it through all the way to the end. That's got to be in the back of Fayash's mind, is that he can't wait till the last lap to set him up, because with a caution flag being able to come out at any moment, he needs to make this pass as soon as he can.
Yes. Green-white checkers, no, we don't have any of those. And the gap continuing to close off turn number 2 now.
Oh, big
2 car lengths, maybe a car length and a half now as they enter turn number 3. Fayash is there. The problem is, like we all just been saying, can he get the pass done? We saw, obviously, with Alan Bowes, it took about 4 or 5 laps for him to get the job done. Ryan Lowe, he's going to probably be a little bit tougher to pass here in the late going here. Off turn number 2, it's still about a car and a half length lead right now for Ryan Lowe as the laps continue to click by. 8 to go this time.
Just 8 laps remaining. We're down to single digits, Justin. We've seen scenarios like this play out on short tracks dozens of times here on LSRTV, and by our standards in this series. Richmond, it's a short track, the 77. He might get physical if he gets to him. Looks like some lap traffic, not all that far in front either.
Yeah, we may see a bump and run here from Fayash. He's right there on the back bumper in the wheel tracks of Ryan Lowe. Lowe has to work down to the inside of Kyle Putz. Putz going to do the wise thing and go way up the hill to allow the leaders to try to race it out themselves. Nobody going to try to use a lap car as it picked this last time by. But he did lose a little bit of ground. The gap is 1 car length now through turns 3 and 4. Fayash, he has to make a move in the next couple laps because 196 is that if a caution flag comes out, it will end the race. So Fayash, if I were you, you have to get up there and you have to do it in a hurry. And he's right there as next time by. It'll be 5 to go. Fayash within a car length and a half, but Lowe starting to pull away here in the late stages.
And I think Fayash maybe just kissed the wall that time at a turn number 2. It's going to bring the gap from 2/10 back up to 3. So the pressure is now on for Andrew Fayash to get there and to execute. I look out the windshield of Ryan Lowe as he goes down the back straightaway. Couple of machines in front of them. Alex Moore and Nicholas Johnson may be the only 2 drivers of lap traffic that they might get to at 4 laps to go. If they catch him, it is going to be right at the last lap. Fayash back down to 2/10 of a second. Those lap cars could be a huge factor in all of this.
They can be if it actually gets to it. Looks like Lowe maybe slipped up a little bit there off of turn number 2. The gap's now closed back to a car length here as they exit turn number 4, coming to the stripe this time. 3 laps to go. Lap traffic definitely going to play a factor. Alex Warren now up to the top, trying to stay out of the way as they come off of turn 2. The gap's still closing.
The gap is still closing. 2 laps to go next time by. Popsicle stick's going to be in the air for your front 2 leaders. The gap is a half a car length. Fayash is there. Can he get to him? Can he lay the wood? And loose! Low, very loose, side by side now into turn number 1. 2 laps to go. Andrew Fayash, he's there. Can he get it done? He's going to have to do it the Earnhardt way as he's in the wall. These cars beating, banging. It's going to be 1 lap to go. Who's it going to be?
Fayash was about run out of room. They're going to be side by side. 3/4 of a mile to go at Richmond. Here comes the 77 lap traffic. Just a couple of car lengths in front. Who's going to get the W? It has been Ryan Lowe all night long. He'll work the bottom. Fayash the outside. Half a car length advantage. It's 3 and 4 for the final time. Ryan Lowe going to push up. Can he hang on? Outside the show stealer. Andrew Fayash wins at Richmond.
36 thousandths of a second, the gap between Fayash and Lowe at the stripe.
Lowe, 1 lap. That's all he didn't get tonight was 1 lap.
Wow, what a race, guys. Fayash, with arguably the Earnhardt move of the year, did it the hard way around the outside. What a race, guys. What a race.
And it's fitting so because I talked before the race with Andrew Fayash, and he's the one that was telling me to not count out that outside lane, and a spectacular finish for the 77. I thought he was going to back off and go for a crossover, but he held her true on the outside of the racetrack, Andy. Power move outside. I mean, Ryan Lowe pinched him up top as much as he could without wrecking him. They were both about in the fence at a turn number 2. They were beaten, they were banging, but that was a good, hard, clean finish, and Andrew Fayash is going to steal this win with a pass on the last lap, taking it by 36/100ths of a second.
Yeah, and a victory lap in reverse, nonetheless, and man, that was just unbelievable. We just knew that he had an opportunity to get close to him, but the possibility to pass him, obviously he didn't get him clear. You don't need to get him clear. You just got to be the first one to cross the start-finish line. That's exactly what Fayash did right there, and a fantastic victory lap too right here. That's one for the record books, but great job by him, and great job by everybody. It was a really, really good race, and you kind of feel bad for Ryan Lowe, who pretty much had this thing sewed up from the drop of the green flag, but he's going to come home in the second spot, probably a little bit disappointed.
Andrew Fayash, the driver who has the most career starts out of anybody in the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series, puts her in victory lane tonight at the Richmond International Raceway. doesn't leave anything left because he burned down that Integrity Racing League's number 77 Chevrolet, and deservingly so, as he commits highway robbery on the last lap and steals basically a guaranteed win away from Ryan Lowe, who's going to have to take the worst second place result of his Pro Series career. And Alan Bowes, by the way, bounces back from 2 poor weeks in a row and pulls it into victory lane in third. We'll try to talk to your top 5 finishers, and I can trust you that you're going to want to get some reaction from some of these top drivers. Fayash, Lowe, Bowes, Berry, Duval, but the topic of conversation is the 77 going to get the checkered flag by 0.036 seconds over Ryan Lowe. Post-race reaction more, and as well, a preview of next Tuesday night season finale at the Daytona International Speedway. Coming up on the other side, we'll be back with the LSRTV post-race show from Richmond International Raceway on iRacing Live. Stay tuned.
Truex in the outside, contact made, 56 slides it at a 4, who's going to be at the stripe, dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track.
Welcome back live at the virtual Richmond International Raceway with the post-race show for the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Richmond 200 gets underway, and we're getting set to talk to your top 5 finishers, where Andrew Fayash takes home the win. Probably the only, I think, green flag lap that Ryan Lowe did not lead tonight was that last one. There was a couple of times where he was not in front on the cycle of pit stops, guys staying out, but for the sake of what that 38 did tonight, he led every single lap tonight. That was his race, and he was 1 lap short. We'll talk to him in a moment. In the meantime, P5 tonight goes to the 42 of Dylan Duval, and I'll toss things trackside to Cisco Scarmuza, who's caught up with him.
Yeah, I've caught up Dylan down here on pit road in the Brandon Hawk Racing number 42. And Dylan, you had a great night tonight. Ran up front all night. Talk about your race.
We had a pretty good race. I had pretty high hopes coming in. I really liked this track, and I felt like the setup was really good. So I had pretty high hopes coming in. Can't complain with a 5th. Definitely what I needed, just trying to lock myself into peak. And I believe with a 5th, that should lock me in. So that's great. That's been the primary goal all year. And now we get to go to Daytona and just have some fun.
Well, you were sitting 4th, according to our points, with the drops factor in, so you got to feel good about that. What's kind of the mindset rolling into Daytona, figuring you're probably good on points, but come on, it's Daytona.
Yeah, from my math, we should be locked in no matter what happens at Daytona. And that was coming into the season. One of the things I wanted to do was not have to go to Daytona and worry about points. So I don't know. I'm just gonna relax, have some fun, see how it goes. You never know at Daytona. You can wreck on the first lap, or you can win the thing. So should be exciting for sure.
Well, Dylan, a great run for you there. Who gets it done for you in the number 42 team?
I got to thank Brandon Hawk Racing, Infinite Creative Solutions, iCar Racing League, Tim's Corner Motorsports. Um, who else? Well, the team. Got to thank everyone on the team. The setup was great this week. Definitely showed with having a good run. Cody was having a good run too until some unfortunate things happened to him. But yeah, the car was definitely good, so I have to thank all them a bunch. And I think that's about it. Sorry if I'm forgetting anyone.
All right, well, that's Dylan Duval. He finishes 5th here tonight. Great run for him, and I'm going to toss it up pit road a little bit to Brian Macklin.
Yeah, I have caught up with the Xfinity Series driver, Josh Berry, who finished 4th here tonight under the lights at the Richmond International Raceway. Josh, congratulations on your 4th place finish. Take us through your night trying to run down Ryan Lowe and trying to figure out what you had to do to get to him and have a chance to win this race. Obviously, you came up just a little bit short, but take us through your night.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid night for me. I just didn't have the car to run with him really, and I worked on it all I could, and I think I got it a little bit better, but I still didn't have much. I think I was pleased with how I ran that last run. I think that was probably the best I had been, but they were good, and Bayash was really good on the long run, and I just didn't have it. I was getting too tight, and I'd start losing drive off. So I did what I set out to do. Really, I only lost 1 point to Bose, and we're going to Daytona, and that's who knows what can happen there. So it looks like it's probably going to be between me and him, and just got to stay out of trouble at Daytona, and should have a good shot at it.
Yeah, that was actually my next question. You do have unofficially an 11-point lead over Alan Bose going into Daytona. It's pretty much a two-man race, as you mentioned. What are your plans going into that race? Are you going to go out there and try to hard charge for the win? Are you going to ride around in the back? How are you going to approach Daytona next week?
I plan on just running it like I've ran every other race there. Just try to stay up front best I can, and unless he finds trouble or something like that, that could change my outlook on it. But for the most part, I'm just gonna. Me and him are sure gonna be up front. We're gonna race each other, and we're gonna have to race for it. At this point, so I'm expecting to do that. And like I said, it's just gonna be about missing the big one, and hopefully staying 11 positions in front of him. But if not, it's still been a great season for me so far, and to be locked back in and had some really strong runs. Even to be in this position is something that I didn't expect. So I'm happy about that, and I'm happy that tonight went as planned, and just looking forward to next week and getting it over with.
All right, well, real quick before we let you go, just want to give you a chance to say thank you to your sponsors, say hello to any friends or family that might be watching back at home. Who makes it happen for you, Josh?
Yep, just like to thank everybody at HPM. We worked pretty hard the last couple of days on the setup, trying to get it better, and didn't exactly get it what we wanted, but we still worked pretty hard at it, and it wasn't from a lack of effort there. I got to thank Jeremy the Juice Box Allen for swatting for me there, and we'll see. Like I said, looking forward to next week, and hopefully we're fast and stay out of trouble, and I'll be talking to you again.
All right, congratulations, Josh, on your 3rd place finish. Good luck to you in your championship battle next week with Alan Bose at Daytona, and we'll see you next week. All right, moving a little bit further down pit road, I believe Andy has caught up with the driver who's finished 3rd in just about every race this season, and he's filling in another spot on the bingo board. Andy, you've caught up with Alan Bose.
That's right. I am down here on pit road with Alan Bose, and Alan, a familiar spot for you in third place here for this season anyway. Obviously struggling the last couple of weeks for yourself, but we talked to you last week about how the struggles have been and how you wanted to turn the momentum back the other way, and you surely did that here tonight, battling for the lead and also coming home with this 3rd place finish.
Yeah, tonight was a blast. Watching that battle between Lowe and Fash there in the race, that was something else. That was probably one of the best battles I've ever seen. Wish I could have been a part of it, but 3rd place, and we finished in front of Barry, which helps out the point situation a little bit. But They got a pretty big road ahead of us going into Daytona, but I'm pretty confident that we can do something special.
You talk about Daytona, obviously a huge wild card and coming at the last race of the season. For you at this point, you're not defending, you're chasing. Does that change your strategy going to a place like that? Is the goal pretty much to be up front, lead as many laps as you can, try to pull out the win?
I'm not really sure. I think a lot of that really depends on where I qualify. If I qualify up toward the front, then I may try to stay at the front. But if I qualify mid-pack, I'm just going to drop to the back as soon as possible and just ride around. My goal next week is just to stay clean. Even if we can't come out with a championship, I mean, I can't be too sad about the season that I've had.
So you definitely can't. You put up some staggering numbers there with all those top 3 finishes, couple wins for yourself also, back-to-back nonetheless. So it's obviously been a strong season overall. You can't let a couple bad weeks obviously throw that out the window and on the big picture and obviously qualifying for next season's Peak Antifreeze Series.
Oh yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. I'm really happy to have locked myself in tonight. I really wanted to get back to that series after the season I had last year because I feel like I have a little bit to prove that I can do it, that I can finish top 20 at least in that series. So I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, if the momentum that you've had all season long here in the Pro Series carries over, I'm sure you'll have a fantastic run at the Peak Series. So with that said, obviously there's more than there's a lot of people that get it done for you. Sponsor shout-outs, who is it?
Well, I got to thank my main sponsor, DrakenTech.com. You know, he's a very good guy to work with. You can head over to DrakenTech.com and find a pretty good paint scheme, and he'll work with you on it. Got to thank RAR Chevette. You know, he's a great guy as well. I got to thank Houston Hamer, Blake Bryant, Brandon Hoff, Shane Doherty, Ryan Lowe, my teammate. I feel for you, man. And I got to thank everybody at Dead Zone. You know, Brandon Williams spotted for me tonight. He did a great job. So overall, I'm really pleased, and it's been a great season.
That it has, and with the opportunity, obviously, next week at Daytona to possibly capture the title, we wish you the best of luck next week, and we'll see you get it done next week.
I appreciate it.
There you have it. Third place finisher Alan Bowes here tonight at Richmond, and I believe Justin now has caught up with our second place finisher Ryan Lowe.
Alongside the driver, the number 38 dominated all race long except for the very last lap. Ryan, it's not the way you wanted to finish the race, but tell us about that battle. I mean, did you just run out of tires? What was it that allowed the 77 to get around you?
My car was extremely tight in the middle all race, and on top of that, like, my computer hasn't been the greatest, so I've been going into like turn 1 most of that race with like 20 to 15 frames a second, so it was just a combination of that. But I mean, hey, Fish is fast.
Isn't that something? I mean, you're arguably the best race we've seen in the last 18 months on LSRTV, and Ryan, you know, you got to be dejected somewhat. I mean, you know, you put on arguably the performance of the year in the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series, and next thing you know, you're sitting on the outside looking in. I mean, just how bad does this hurt?
And it kind of hurt bad at first, but then I realized, you know, second place and where I was sitting in points. So it's a great point stay on top of leading the most laps, so that's extra points. And I'm just glad I built a buffer going into Daytona so I can, you know, hopefully just ride in the back, let everyone wreck, and hopefully, you know, get up in the front there and finally get my DWC license.
Well, I got you some good news. Your points after the drop, but before penalty points are added, so this is unofficial. You are tied, I believe, for the 11th spot in points with a couple of other drivers, and you are some 20 to 21 points ahead of 20th spot. So you have a good outlook, Ryan. Can you just bring it home in one piece next week at Daytona to lock yourself into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series?
I hope. I mean, I've had good luck at Daytona, but then in the past I've somewhat had bad luck sometimes, so it just depends how the race plays out and where cautions fall and everything.
Can't do it by yourself, Ryan. Who makes it happen? Who's responsible for getting you on track week in and week out?
Alright, Mainly dead zone right now. I mean, Houston puts together some great sets, and you got Alan Bowes, Blake Bryan, Shane Hoff, and Tyler Laughlin. Just really, having the encouragement to kind of plow the team on and keep the momentum up. And for Justin Rowden for painting me these nice paint schemes.
That's the driver who finished second. The driver, the number 38 Chevrolet, led all but the last lap under green. Ryan Lowe comes home second in the race tonight. And on down towards Gatorade Victory Lane. Evan Pasoko, you got tonight's winner.
It is 48th career NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series start. He's going to finally break through and to put it in victory lane, and in doing so, only got it by 36 100ths of a second. And Andrew, I guess you wanted to make it interesting because that one down to the wire, Ryan Lowe dominated this race, and for a lot of it, you chased him, and you weren't off by a lot, but you were just a tick off all night long. Throw us into those final 20 laps. You get there at the last lap. You don't get physical, you don't move them, you pass them on the high side of the racetrack as you guys came door to door to the start-finish line.
I don't even know where to start with this. I'll tell you the same thing I said when I won my first real race at my local dirt track, because I made the pass on the last lap, last corner, that one, and for my first win, and I don't want it to be that exciting. That was completely extremely stressful, but I just tried to stay focused. I kept telling my team was doing a great job of giving me the perfect info, but all the same I'm like, shh, just let me drive right now. But no, he kept getting loose. I saw him get loose out of 2 a couple times, and the longer we went the better I felt, and he got loose out of 4. I just kept the pressure on, and I mean, he said he had a little bit of a frame rate issue late, but bad luck happens. I've been through plenty enough of it to know firsthand, and I just took advantage of it as best I could.
And come down to the end, and I figured that was not any easier for you because, I mean, we were jumping out of our seats and all of that, but you had a good car all night. I mean, you started third, and you were hanging about third or second for a lot of the race around Josh Berry. Getting him at the end, though, the outside of the racetrack slowly became a factor as the night went on, but it never fully came into play to the point where we were seeing guys race too wide and make passes on the outside on a regular basis. Clearly, though, there was just enough rubber down to get that pass on the outside. I know you mentioned that's something that you would be keeping an eye on before this race started. Were you kind of keeping an eye on what it was like up there so that if you were in this scenario at the end, you wouldn't be forced to have to drive it into the bottom? You had those options available. Was this something you were planning for or thinking ahead of?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I saw Lowe go up there pretty early in the race. He went up to the high side, and he was running a decent pace, and I still felt like it was slower. But I started, when I almost spun out running 4th there, on that last run, I tried to run them down, and I started running a different line to set up a run because I was so loose on corner exit I couldn't cut underneath of somebody when I had a run. So I started messing with different lines, and my teammate Keegan was telling me that the top was working, and so I just played with it long enough to figure it out, and I knew that, like I said, Lowe was loose coming out of corners, so I figured if I keep him, if I get to his outside, I'd probably be better off just staying there and letting him fight with the loose exit than trying to cross him over, and it worked out.
To say long time coming is an understatement, Andrew. We got a lot of people sticking around live on LSRTV and iRacing Live. They want to get your reaction, not only because that was such an exciting finish, but you have the most starts out of any other driver in this NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. I know you probably wouldn't have wanted it to take this long to break through and get into victory lane, but it's got to feel so sweet after everything.
Yeah, I'm going to give a warning to anybody wearing headphones. Take them off right now because I'm going to give you one shout, for this win. Woo! All right, I gotta get one out because I know
that's fair. I'll give it to you.
I know my team owner Bontempi. He's been screaming since we co-team owner I should say, and also crew chief. He's been screaming since we got to the line coming out of 4. So I had to get one good one in for him, and I got to thank absolutely everybody on No Limit Sim Racing. Recently, I don't know if it's official, so I'm not going to say it, but we have some new help, and we've been working together with a lot of people, and everybody's put in a great effort. Keegan Lay, Logan Sheets, Bontempi, Holiday, David Rattler, Crabtree's been absent currently, but he'll be back soon. Lambert and Ward spotting for me and helping out where I need, and anybody I'm forgetting, I'm going to apologize right now. I also want to thank Integrity Racing League for hopping on board as a sponsor. They're an amazing league. I've been running with them for probably 3 years at least when I have the time, and it's a great place to race. Their name says it all. Integrity Racing. That's what it is. Everybody's respectful over there, and it's always fun.
And tonight, a good run, and same scenario for Ryan Lowe we were talking about. He was below the cut line coming into tonight's race. You were down as well. So not only is the win sweet, but it helps you guys out in your ultimate objective of making the top 20 and then going back into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series coming up in just a couple of weeks. So you got the W. You still got to hold on, and you're going to have to do so at Daytona International Speedway next Tuesday night for the season finale. We saw this last season, and we've already had one plate race this year. So you kind of reevaluate where you stand now in this series. What's the game plan next week?
Well, I mean, we've been working on stuff setup wise for it already, and seeing what we got, and we've always been pretty darn good there. But it's just it's Daytona. You could have the best car or the worst car, and you could end up at the opposite end of the field in a blink of an eye. So we're just going to go out there and try to keep it clean and see where we're at the end to, take a shot then. But my track record's been good there, so, knock on wood on that one. We'll see how we do. But it's just a matter of surviving mainly, and Daytona's the worst for that. I hate that we end the season on it. I'm sure it's exciting to watch and broadcast, but from the driver's seat, it is more nerve-wracking than you can imagine to end a season on that. And if I make top 20, this will be the first year where I'm a guaranteed starter for NPAS, which is absolutely huge for me. I've always struggled at qualifying. Prior to this past season, we've been doing awesome, but I'm usually a terrible qualifier, so it's going to be nice to not have to worry about that.
We definitely wish you the best of luck going into Daytona, Andrew. Before we let you go, I know you mentioned a lot of people at the team, the guys behind the scenes. Anybody else you want to give a call to while we got you?
Just all my family and friends that are watching. I know I got a few extra people watching this week. I told them, I said, if you're going to watch one pro race this season, for me, this is going to be the one you're going to want to watch. Because I couldn't make Phoenix. I was out on a work trip, and that's. I think I like Phoenix more than this place, but this is definitely right up there.
Well, on behalf of all of us at LSRTV, Andrew, congratulations on the win. Thanks for stinking around and chatting. I'll let you get back to the team so you guys can do some more celebrating. But again, congrats. And as you said, not as dominating as you would like to do it, but you made it exciting, and you got that W in the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. So we'll see you next Tuesday night, but have fun celebrating this one, and we'll see you then.
Thanks, guys.
So that is now your NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series winner, Andrew Fayash III, in his 48th career start in the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Justin, he gets the job done. I feel terrible for Ryan Lowe because we said a couple of times tonight at 100 laps to go. It's been Ryan Lowe's race all night long, but it's not done yet. We said it at 40 laps to go. You got 40 more. It's not done yet. Heartbreaking loss for him, but it's hard to not like that win for the number 77 machine.
Fayash, one of the nicer guys in all of the iRacing.com service. I couldn't be happier for him, and, at the same time, I feel for Ryan Lowe. He had the race all the way up until lap 199, and from there on, it was all Andrew Fayash, and good job to Alan Bowes to climb up from mid-pack really on the race to finish third. Josh Berry going to finish fourth. Dylan Duvall going to finish fifth. Nick Ferber going to finish sixth. Seventh goes to the 8 of Adam Gilliland. 23 of Brandon Hoff finishes eighth. Ninth goes to the 98 of Ryan Borges. Good finish for him. And the 09 of David Rattler will round out your top 10.
Yeah, coming home 11th tonight, the 19 of Jason Jacoby. Timmy Hill struggled there at the last bit of the race there. He came home in the 12th spot. Brandon Schmidt very quietly came from 39th all the way to the 13th spot. Logan Clampett rebounded from an accident, finishes 14th. Blake Bryant in the 02 finished 15th. 16th went to Joshua Lawton. Dylan C. Jones finished in the 17th spot. 18th went to last week's winner Dylan Rafferty. Robin Williams came home 19th, and 20th was Tyler Laughlin.
21st tonight, going to go to Trey Edson, Joey Israelson, 22nd. 23rd, Jacob Harbertson, Damon Burnett in the number 24 spot, rather in 24th, and then Landon Harrison was actually 23rd. Those are the drivers that end up on the lead lap. 2 laps down at the NP25 is where Damon Burnett slides in. Rob Ackley, Alex Warren, Mitchell Hunt, Nicholas Johnson, and Michael J. Johnson round out your top 30.
31st going to go to the number 91 of Shane Doherty. 12, Kyle Putz finishes 32nd. Paul Kashiba finishes 33rd. 34th to the 11 of Brad Davies. 93 of Byron Daly will finish 35th. 36 to the 27 of Cody Bias. 83 of Thomas Davis starts 9th, finishes 37th. 38th goes to the 20 of Greg McKinney. 17 of Justin Trombley going to finish 39th. And rounding out your 40-car field, the 99 of Timu Ivonen.
It was an exciting night at Richmond. We look forward to Daytona for an excitement of a little bit of a different kind as we go to the plate track at a Virtual World Center of Racing for the season finale on the 2015-2016 Pro Series schedule. But this has been one of, if not the most exciting race of the season, and maybe for the last couple of years, because this one came down to the end, Brian. My favorite part about it is, I mentioned to Justin when they were coming down to 5 laps to go, it is Richmond, it's a short track, it could get physical. They could have made it ugly, but I love that it was clean side by side, good hard racing to the end. I don't think you can ask for a much better finish than that.
Yeah, well, those two drivers, Ryan Lowe and Andrew Fayesh, are two of the more respected drivers in the series and in iRacing, and they are very good about racing clean, but racing hard and racing aggressively, and that's exactly what we saw here tonight. Short track racing at its best. They could have, like you said, used the bumper and got a little bit more aggressive and maybe had some contact with one another, but they did it the way that you want to see it done, and that's by racing hard, racing clean, and getting the job done without taking out your competition. It was an absolute amazing finish and just an incredible race in general. We had a few cautions that slowed the pace down, but for the most part, that was a really exciting race. That was one of the better races that they've had this season, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I think Daytona is going to be fun next week. The thing about next week is there's only 6 drivers unofficially that have locked themselves into the Peak Antifreeze Series, so for those 6 drivers, they have nothing to worry about, but for the rest of the field, it's going to be a very chaotic night.
There are no guarantees outside of those 6 spots, which means that you could be in the 2016 Peak Antifreeze Series on the white flag and be out by the time the checkered flag flies. You're not going to want to miss that one, and it's going to be next Tuesday night with the LSRTV pre-race show at about 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time right here on iRacing Live. We encourage you to be with us. We encourage you to tune in with us throughout the week for plenty of sim racing broadcasting. Our website is livesimracing.com. You can find a full broadcast schedule there, and you've pretty much got action on LSRTV and LSRTV2 almost every single weeknight coming up. So again, make sure to go to livesimracing.com, all the information there. As well, give us a like. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/livesimracingtv. You can stay up to date with all the latest info there. So before we wrap things up, now we look forward to round number 9, Justin. Daytona, that's all that's left.
You want to talk about a shootout, brother? It's going to be all guns blazing at Daytona. And like you said, you know, you may be in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series Championship Series on the white flag lap, but by the time the checker falls, you may find yourself wondering what might have been. You may even end up outside the top 30 where you're at least have a shot to qualify for the go or go home. So really, it's anybody's guess what will happen. And as always, it is always a crapshoot. So anybody who, you know, doesn't have the best of luck could find themselves into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series by way of a victory next week.
I like that Fayesh had mentioned that it was, you know, heart-pounding this one for us, and it was for him as well. As bad as it sounds to say, that is going to be terrible for these guys next Tuesday. They are going to be stressed from the drop of the green flag, but we're going to have fun, and we're going to enjoy it, and we hope you join us next Tuesday night. Until then, that does it. 8 down and just 1 race to go. Daytona can wrap this thing up next Tuesday night. We hope to see you then. On behalf of everybody at LSRTV and for the team tonight, for Justin Rose now, Andy Kessler, Brian Macklin, Cisco Scarmuza, LSRTV's executive producer, Laura Lawson, and for myself, Evan Posoka, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. And again, a congratulations to the driver with the most career starts in this series. Finally, after 5 years, gets it in victory lane. Andrew Fayash III, the winner of the Richmond 200, a well-deserving win, puts him one step closer to qualifying for the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. We'll determine the class of 20 drivers, and we'll crown a champion. We'll see you next Tuesday night in Daytona Beach. Good night.